And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, you know, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean, South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
The white man is enacting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be of tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. You know, I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism. You know, except loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries. And, you know,
from the Renaissance.
Oh yeah, right. You wipe everything clean. It's funny how exactly the Renaissance. It's this rebirth, but it's white rebirth. I think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
You are saying that the Igbo people have lost their identity because
contact with their God, with their maker, with their origin.
Okay, how do we know? We were this week, Abraham, we were in the place called Igbo Gad, the place, the palace of God.
Yes.
We saw some things there. How do we know? If you are to tell me succinctly, how do we know? Do you believe that you are ancestors from the tribe of God? Do you believe that you are ancestors from the tribe of God? Do you believe that you are ancestors from the tribe of God? Do you believe that you are ancestors from the tribe of God?
Of course, we believe that we are ancestors of the tribe of God. Let me make it more clearer. Just like you rightly said before, that even after the dispersion of the children of Israel, that the 10 tribes, that there were other tribes that deflated to Judah. There were other tribes that deflated to Judah. There were other tribes that deflated to Judah. There were other tribes that deflated to Judah.
That's right.
And that is to say,
A portion.
Judah is a mixture of other tribes.
That's right.
Good. Now, when you come to this very part of the world where the Igbos exist, yes, we are called the tribe of Gad because the first person to enter here among all the tribes is God himself. But we have other tribes scattered all over the place. We have the tribe of Judah, we have so many
tribe of Gad
and Levi in this very place.
Right.
We have other tribes scattered all over the place. We have the tribe of Judah, we have so many
tribe of Gad
and Levi in this very place.
Right.
We have other tribes scattered all over the place. We have the tribe of Judah, we have so many
tribe of Gad
and Levi in this very place.
Right.
But we have other tribes scattered all over the place. We have the tribe of Judah, we have so many
tribe of Gad
and Levi in this very place.
Right.
Now, so, but all put together, like we have already said most of the time, that inside every Jew is the 12 tribe.
Absolutely.
So we are made up of all the tribe of Israel here in Nigeria. Made up of all the tribe of Israel here in Nigeria. Made up of all the tribe of Israel here in Nigeria. But we have other tribes scattered all over the place. We have the tribe of Judah, we have so many
tribe of Gad
and Levi in this very place.
Right.
Now, so, but all put together, like we have already said most of the time, that inside every Jew is the 12 tribe.
Absolutely.
So we are made up of all the tribe of Israel here in Nigeria.
I understand that, but there's some uniqueness here that we cannot ignore with the tribe of Gad. So before you kind of lost your tradition, because all the tradition I hear, it's like I said, this is Jewish,
Yes.
with a twist.
Yes.
Not exactly, but maybe 90%.
Yes.
You know, but now you're assimilated with Christianity to
Yes.
make things worse.
Yes.
And that's really impacted the
But
community.
negatively.
So I want to ask you a question. I mean, not to be controversial, because I see you have pages and pages of those traditions. And I hope you will make more videos for us, systematically walking us through those things. But I think it's overwhelming. We cannot say that the Igbo people do not have a connection to Israel.
Not at all.
We cannot say it. Can we say that they're exactly the tribe of God? Maybe. There is a strong connection to the tribe of God here.
Yes.
We know that. I was with you, and you showed me the statue of the man with the knife and the sword.
Yes.
And the word God exactly mean that. The people of the knife and the sword. You know, in a way, you're doing things in the ancient customs of our people.
Because we're Asian people. We're Asian people.
Yes.
That's a fact to show you that we're more ancient than even the 1948 establishment of the state of Israel.
Yeah, I understand that. You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israelite, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, all that he said,
no, we don't have.
There are so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes, and I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? That is the question I have for you.
Thank you. I'll answer that question.
Go ahead. I will help you.
After the demise of Solomon, we now have the northern and southern kingdom of Israel.
Yes.
So when we talk about Jews, Jews are Israelites, but all Israelites are not Jews. The 10 tribes that got lost are not Jews. They were Israelites. Jews are Israelites, but all Israelites are not Jews. The 10 tribes that got lost are not Jews. They were Israelites. Jews are Israelites, but all Israelites are not Jews. The 10 tribes that got lost are not Jews. They were Israelites. So when we talk about Jews, Jews are Israelites. But all Israelites are not Jews. The 10 tribes that got lost are not Jews. They were Israelites.
Well, it's depending.
So minority cannot swallow the majority. We are here. We are the majority down here. So you are minority, and we are older than you.
When I look to people here and I see those ancient traditions, I say they are our blood, our brothers, but they become an estranged brother, like this prodigal son.
Yes.
So what do we need to do? We need to go to the prodigal son today. We, the natural branch, the Jewish people, the non-Jewish people, need to go to the prodigal son and we need to welcome him in. We need to rewrite history. Yeah. Because I think that has been the tragedy of the 12 tribes of Israel. When some brothers were lost and we thought they were dead, but they're really indeed alive. Yes. That's what I'm doing in Nigeria. That's what Operation Africa, Operation Igbo People is about. Going and simply issue to them invitation to return home.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14 verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.
I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. I want to say Shabbat Shalom. I want to apologize for my being late tonight. A lot of videos I was going through for us making edits to upload, and I still forgot to upload or edit a particular video of a point, relating to a point that I wanted to make, and didn't have enough time to put my all my thoughts together into one presentation. So I may do a little hop around to go to other presentations, just so that way we'll cover what we saw in the videos. And I had video clips that I displayed, and I have more clips that I want to display as well, as far as in terms of some things I want to touch on. Now, what I was trying to do as well is go to the old playbook, because I did a playbook on Rabbi Shapira. This is not the first one. If you go back over the channel, you'll see a playbook that was done on Rabbi Shapira, and I covered a lot of information, and we're going to do the same. It's ironic, some of the things that you heard him say, he said the same things, or kind of had the same overtone when he was dealing with the limba. And it's interesting, even with and I'm going to play some clips when we get there. He talked about the DNA, and I'm going to share some articles with you, because it raised some thoughts about some of the old presentations that I've done. And family, I've been dealing with DNA for years on top of years. I have a number of books that I recommend, but I have one main book that I recommend that you guys purchase. It's going to cost you a little bit, but it's good, because it addressed every so-called formula, every so-called test that was put together to try to prove who are the original people, so to speak, versus those who are not. And this book exposes every one of the flaws. And I'm going to highlight just a portion of that book, just so that way you guys can see what the book is. But we got a lot to cover tonight. So let me go ahead and give some shout outs, being that I started late. So I want to at least show some love to you, family. And I really appreciate you guys being here and being patient with me tonight. Change to Crown. Peace and blessings to you. Charles West, peace and blessings to you. Mr. Original, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Appreciate the love and support. Mr. Keith Wilson, really appreciate you. Appreciate you following the channel, following the platform. Really appreciate the love and support. Messenger of Ahaya, I am John 17:3. Want to say peace and blessings to you. Appreciate the support here. Dwayne Butler, Dwayne E. Butler, want to say Shabbat Shalom or Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Want to say peace and blessings to my cousin here, Ruhaman. Want to say peace and blessings to you. Want to say Shabbat Shalom, and to others, Shabbat Shalom. So let's see here. Calvin Andrews, peace and blessings to you. Fira, want to say peace and blessings to you. Who else do we have here? Sister Carol, want to say peace and blessings to you. Appreciate the love and support. Lemuria Johnson, want to say peace and blessings to you. Stacy Pullum, peace and blessings to you. My brother Calvin, want to say peace and blessings to you. Andrea Drake, peace and blessings to you. Israelite wife Desiree, peace and blessings to you. Stacy Pullum, peace and blessings to you. Tiffany Moore, peace and blessings to you. Sean Green, I want to say Shalom, Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Thank you, my brother. Really appreciate you. Let's see here. Diamond Love, Sister Diamond, excuse me. I want to say shalom to you. Darnell Blackshear, I want to say peace and blessings to you. Appreciate seeing you on here tonight. Been following We Woke for quite some time. Really appreciate you. Rashida Shalom, want to say shalom to you as well. My sister Shalon, want to say peace and blessings to you, holding things out in California. Really appreciate the support from you over the years. Been supporting me when I was doing my thing over there on Facebook. So I really appreciate the love and support and the support of the ministry over these years. Really appreciate you, sis. Who else do we have here? Timothy Prince. I want to say salama to you as well. Jason Camphor. I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom to you. Brother Enoch, peace and blessings to you. Let's see here. Who else do we have here? C. Burtz, Dante Williams, Jason Camphor. Who else do we have here? Second Exodus, for Sasi Dot. Excuse me if I'm rushing through some of these because the live for us, the chat is starting to move a little bit here, and then more people starting to jump on. So if I don't get to you, please do not charge it to my heart, charge it to my head, like the old school would say. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. And I will open up for some questions as well. And you can, and I will get some shout outs to you guys as far as those that respond. I'll definitely bring your name up on the screen here. Tiffany Moore, Wild and Wanting, want to say peace and blessings to you. Karamai Lyricist, peace and blessings to you. Who else do we have here? Dante Williams, Souls of Our Ancestors. Really appreciate the love and support, sis. Appreciate all that you do. Who else do we have here? Omega Red. Let's see here. C. Burtz, Wild and Wanting. I already said to you. Let's see here. All right. Just looking here. Jay Highstyle, my buddy Jay Highstyle, I want to say peace and blessings to you. So again, when I put questions up, for those that I may not get to you as far as your name, feel free to answer the questions or post comments, and I will highlight your comments on the screen here. So again, appreciate all of you guys that are watching the presentation tonight. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you again for the love and support. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started, family. We are going to get started. And what's interesting, as I pointed out earlier, and I know I need to update my ticker. Let me do the ticker real quick. But what's interesting is I'm going to highlight a couple of patterns, right? I'm going to highlight a couple of patterns here, some things that I observed, and I want to make this clear. This presentation is not about trying to take any personal shots or attacks towards Rabbi Shapira. I'm not taking any personal shots towards you, but I want to make it clear. I'm dealing with doctrine. I'm dealing with things that have been stated. I'm dealing with quotes and things along that line. So this presentation is not about trying to take personal shots. It's dealing with documentation. Is dealing with doctrine. So family, let's be respectful with our comments, because again, we're supposed to be the light, so let's be the true light that we are required to be. So let's be careful about how we communicate in the chat. Let's be careful about what names, name calling and things along that line, because again, people are watching us. And moderators, you guys already know what to do. I'm not even going to tell you what to do, but moderators, you guys already know what to do. Hold down the chat. Let's keep things from getting out of order, because again, we are being watched by a cloud of witnesses. All right. So, with that being said, let me go ahead and, let's officially start this presentation with this animation here.
It's time to dance. It's time to dance. Dance, sucker.
So I thought I'd start with a little Afro thunder, a little humor for you guys here. And, again, it's great to be here tonight, especially a Friday night. Thank the Most High for where we are, where I am. I mean, there was other places I used to be and things I used to indulge in on a Friday night, so I thank the Most High for giving me that truth, and family. Being in this truth is not just understanding who you are as an Israelite, but it's also embracing the law, statutes, and commandments, embracing the things of the Most High, embracing your culture. That's what it's about as well. So being the chosen people that we are called to be. So it's not just saying, hey, we're Israel, but it's also being the example, that light, that hill, right? That city that sits upon the hill, above all nations, that capital among all capitals. So let's go ahead and let's be respectful. And again, let's thank the Most High for allowing us to be found in the day and time we live in. All right, so let's go to get it in, family. I'm going to show some clips here, and we're going to just do what we do. We're going to just walk you through how to answer these questions, right? So let me see here. I may even pull up. Let me see if I have it here in front of me. Yeah, I'm going to pull this up here before we get into it. This particular playbook on this video, but I'm going to show you some clips from the original playbook that we did. Not clips, but actually we're going to pull up the presentation. And I have the presentation here. Let me pull it up real quick. And we're going to cover some things from here, right? This is the original PowerPoint. Let me enlarge in the screen here, right? This is the original PowerPoint. And this is based off of the video that I uploaded a little more than a year ago with Rabbi Shapira sharing his revelation that he had gotten on Israel. His revelation that we, the Negroes here in the Americas that have been scattered to the four corners, that we are the people of the book. And family, I will say this, and this is one of the patterns that I've seen, the behaviors among our community. We get excited. We tend to get excited and give people a pass because we hear them say, "You are the people of the book. We are the people of the book." That's been the playbook. I've already seen this and witnessed this for years on top of years. Certain communities, they already know all they have to do is talk about our community, Hebrew Israelites, and say they're going to drop a video about the Hebrew Israelites. They already know that many of you guys, many of us, going to flock to it just to hear what they have to say and argue. Family, that's the playbook. And a lot of times people will say things about us and we'll get excited and giving them attention. There's a lot of pastors, and don't be surprised, you're going to have a lot of pastors that's going to say we the people of the book, but they're going to say it from a perspective, not truly meaning it, but do it because that's the trend. And many of, especially churches within our communities, are shutting down. So many ministries are shutting down. And one thing I know about pastors are copycats. Pastors would do whatever, and I'm not saying all, I'm saying many pastors, guess what? Whatever's the latest and greatest, they will jump on that bandwagon. Because think about it, over the past 5 to 7 years, you didn't see any pastors wearing dashikis. You didn't see pastors wearing full beards. You didn't see any of these things taking place. But now we see more and more pastors wearing dashikis, more and more pastors wearing full beards. We're seeing more of the culture, so to speak, being reintroduced to the people. But that's because it's a trend to many. But this is not something that they truly believe. All right. So let's talk about Rabbi Shapira a little bit, right? Let's talk about it now. And again, he said a number of things that just in the video with the Igbos that was alarming with when we dealt with the, when he dealt with the Limbers. And one of the things that he pointed out, and I didn't have a chance to pull the clips from the old uploads, is he mentioned two Israels, right? He referred to the current state of Israel, so to speak, the people that are in Israel and the Jewish community as we know them as being Israel. But then he referred to us, so to speak, that are scattered, that are here in the U.S. as being Israel, but lowercase. He referred to us as being lowercase Israel until we go through this process of conversion. And family, that's something that you hear a lot, is this conversion. And you heard inside the clips that I played, I shared this conversion. Did you guys hear it, or do you guys want me to play it again? Because this conversion, right? In Christianity, right? If you study the Spanish Inquisition, the Israelites, our ancestors, had to go through a conversion. They were referred to as conversos. They had to go through a conversion, right, in order to be accepted. Right? They still got taxed, those that did go through the conversion, right? They had to go through this conversion. I'll play it again, family. And they had to go through this conversion, right? Many of them did the conversion just so that way they will not live. That they will live, or they will minimize the torture against them. So we see Christianity forced our Israelite ancestors through a conversion. And we see even now, and I'm going to play the clips about the conversion that Rabbi mentioned to the Igbos, right? The Igbo panel. And just so that way you guys know, the Igbos, by the Sephardic by the Sephardic Council, right? They officially recognize the Igbos as being blood descendants of Israel. So this video right here is stems from, I believe, this is from 2019, 2018, or whatever. So again, so a lot has happened since then. So let me go ahead and play the video for those of you that may not have caught it. But I want you to pay attention to this and be careful. You know, be careful with your comments. Let's be respectful. You know, let's make it clear, and we show that we know how to handle ourselves. All right. So let's see here. Let me see here. Conversion. This is the question that. Matter of fact, let me just start it from here. Here we go.
You know, in a way, you're doing things in the ancient customs of our people.
Because we're Asian people.
Yeah.
We're Asian people.
Yes.
That's a fact to show you that we're more ancient than even the 1948 establishment of the state of Israel.
Yeah, I understand that. You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israelite, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time,
but
all that he said.
No, we don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? That is the question I have for you.
Thank you. I'll answer that question.
Go ahead, I will help you.
After the demise of Solomon, we now have the northern and southern kingdom of Israel.
Yes.
So when we talk about Jews are Israelites, but all Israelites are not Jews. The 10 tribes that got lost are not Jews. They were Israelites. Jews are Israelites, but all Israelites are not Jews. The 10 tribes that got lost are not Jews. They were Israelites. Jews are Israelites, but all Israelites are not Jews. The 10 tribes that got lost are not Jews. They were Israelites. So when we talk about Jews are Israelites, but all Israelites are not Jews. The 10 tribes that got lost are not Jews. They were Israelites.
Well, it's depending.
So minority cannot swallow the majority. We are here. We are the majority down here. So you are minority, and we are older than you.
So let me ask you a hypothetical question.
Yes, go ahead.
Israel accept you now.
Yes.
I'll give two scenarios.
Yeah, go ahead.
Scenario number one.
Yes.
Israel say you need to go through conversion without renouncing Yeshua. Would you do it?
Without renouncing Yeshua?
Yeah. Would you do it? Basically, what you're answering is you would not want to go through a conversion process.
It will be very difficult.
It will be very difficult for people to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
We are so numerous. We are so if Israel cannot even accommodate all of us, you should come down here and help us.
We put you all in the desert. We have an open, wide open desert. We put you all in the desert. We have an open, wide open desert. We put you all.
Now, I hope you caught that, family. I hope you guys caught that. I hope you guys caught what he just said. I hope you guys caught what he just said. I hope you caught what he said. So we have Christianity, right? That had forced our ancestors, especially when we started dealing with the Spanish Inquisition, And matter of fact, before I continue on, let me play this clip for those that are coming in here for the first time and those that are watching. Let me play this clip again, because just so that way those that are not familiar and don't know history or don't understand the history, not familiar with this or never was taught this, that, when we start really dealing with the Sephardic Jews per se, right? When we go through history, and shout outs to my cousin Benaya Israel. He did an excellent job on part 1, Black Germany. He also did an excellent presentation, set of series on the Spanish Inquisition. You will see when you really go to the root of it that the Spanish Inquisition, when we look at the Sephardic Israelites, they were melanated people. There are documents that makes it clear that the Sephardic Israelites were dark melanated people. They were melanated people. And in the road to Savannah, we're going to reveal some of this stuff to you guys. But I want to play this video just so that way you can hear this coming from an Ashkenazi Jew, making it clear through DNA that brother man, the pastor that he's being interviewed by, that he's a Sephardic Israelite Jew per se, and that the Sephardic Jews were scattered all through the Caribbean, scattered all through the southern parts of the United States. So listen to it. Here we go.
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
One of them.
I know that.
Because, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean, South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
All right, so you guys heard that. He said DNA is a factor, right? But I'm going to show you something. We're going to get to the DNA, right? But I want to, again, address this thing, as you see here, 2 Israels. And this is going to lead us right into the DNA, right? But you see here 2 Israels. And we're going to get into the DNA because what's interesting, and next time we have a discussion here, the next playbook, right? I will have some clips from a little more than a year ago, probably about a year and a half ago. Sister E, myself, and I think Benel was on that as well. I can't remember who all was on the panel, but we had Cohen Hamadishi, elder from the Limbas, right? He was brought to our attention some of the DNA stuff that they had to deal with, challenges when they got DNA tested by the Jewish community as we know them. So he expressed that how they came up with a test, they tested them, right? Now he said on the average, even the person that was testing them, that is a Jew, that person's DNA test came back 1.4, 1.5, something like that, saying that they're Jewish. And I'm going to give you a source here, how those numbers fall right in line with the source I'm going to share. But then when they got tested initially with that same test, it stated that they were 25%. 25%. Now, the average Jewish person per se, as we know them, their test is normally 1.25%, as he shared. And I have a document I'm going to share with you guys that confirms this, right? So then they took the test, then they took the results with them, then came back and tested them again, over 200 of them, including Cohen Hamadishi. tested them again. And I believe they were trying to make adjustments to the test. So what happened? Their results went from 25% to 48%. So then they took the test, decided to test them again, and their results went from 48% to almost 75%, confirming that they are connected with the ancient people of the book. And that was the last time they heard from them, right? They haven't gotten the final results back. See, I said all of that to say is I'm going to show you the pattern in this. And we're going to deal with some DNA here. I haven't dealt with DNA in a while. And I'm going to show you some things here. I'm going to reveal some things to you. So let's walk through this thing. I'm going to share some of the notes that I had from the playbook we did with when Rabbi Shapira sat with the Limbas, and we're going to see how that applies to the conversation he had with the Igbos. So is there a lowercase Israel, as this particular rabbi pointed out? He said that there's a lowercase Israel, and he referred to us as being the lowercase Israel. So what is a lowercase Israel? Right? They are not Jewish, but they are a potential part of Israel. Notice this here. So this is saying that we're not Jewish, right? Because we still need to go through conversion. Now, here's a Messianic Jew, per se, stating that in order to be recognized, and that the law of return makes it clear, in order for those that say that they are Jews want to return to Israel, would have to go through, especially the law of Aliyah, they have to go through a conversion. Right? If they're not practicing Judaism, you have to denounce your belief system and embrace Judaism, and you can be considered a Jew. Or it's done, as far as the determination is done through the mother side, through the mother. So if you're born to a Jewish mother, then all right, you're a Jew. That's not so with the Israelites. So in there, and this is quotes from that presentation. This is the original presentation. So these are verbatim me taking those quotes and making a presentation out of it. That's what I was trying to do with this one, but I had just so many clips to pull from. But they are not Jewish, but they have a potential. They are a potential part of Israel. So let's see what potential means. Let's see what this means. What it means. Oxford Dictionary definition of potential. Let's see what it says. Having or showing the capacity to become or develop into something in the future. So wait a minute. We're blood descendants of Israel. But according to this rabbi, let's go back to his quote, right? Let's go back to his quote. They are not Jewish, but they are a potential part of Israel. See, when you, and I may replay it as we progress here, Rabbi Shapira asked, he said, hey, you guys are the ancient people to the Igbos. Ask them if they're willing to convert. If they don't have to denounce the Messiah, are they willing to convert? Are they willing to convert and become Jews? And you saw the elder on the left of your screen began to explain properly what this transliterated word of a transliterated word of a transliterated word truly mean. When did the word Jew become synonymous to all of Israel? Initially, that word, up until the 16th century, that word Jew was used synonymous to Judah, the name Judah. So Judah or Yahwadah, some of you guys would say Yehudi. That name is used for Judah, the tribe, Judah, the son of Jacob, Yaquab, Judah, right? Who betrayed the Messiah. That was his name in Hebrew is Yahweh. He was Judah, even though you see Judas. But the northern kingdom was never referred to as Judah. The northern kingdom had a number of names, such as Ephraim was one of them. And by the way, we'll do a part 2 on the Ephraim lesson next week. And I'll give you further clarity to show you that Ephraim, the Messiah, did not come from Ephraim. That the blessing had nothing to do with the messianic blessing. And that even the dream, Joseph leading his brothers, that was fulfilled by them going into Egypt, the famines and all, that's a whole nother discussion. So we'll deal with that. But the northern kingdom, again, they were referred to as Ephraim because Ephraim was the larger tribe. Ephraim and Manasseh, they were larger. And you see that in Joshua when he had to give them basically 2 lots because they were so large. So the northern kingdom was referred to as Ephraim. We also see, as we said, the northern kingdom, right? It was also referred to as Israel. So the northern kingdom went through a couple of names. So family, when you see Ephraim and Judah conflict in Jeremiah, that has nothing to do with, far as an individual tribe, but everything to do with the northern kingdom having quarrel with the southern kingdom. All right. So there were no 2 Israels. Right. But anyway, so they are not Jewish, but they are a potential part of Israel. In other words, going back to this Oxford Dictionary definition, having or showing the capacity, saying we have the capacity of becoming or developing into being Israel. No, you either born into it or you're not born into it. And if you are a proselyte, a convert, if we give the proper clarity of the text, a proselyte or a convert was still referred to as sons of strangers. There was still a distinction made between the blood descendants of Israel and the converts. And you can look at Isaiah 56. Isaiah 56 gives the prophecy, or not just the prophecies, but the law, statutes, and commandments, that if you are sons and daughters of a eunuch, right? Now, if a eunuch, not his sons and daughter, but if a eunuch wants to have a relationship with the Most High, a eunuch can. But he has to honor the covenant, embrace the covenant, and honor the Shabbats, the feast days. Then you see the sons of strangers. Just any of the sons of strangers that take hold of want to do the things that pleases the Most High, take hold of his covenant, which the 10 commandments, which are the 10 commandments, and you have one of the law commandments within it is the Shabbat. But then also it says to honor the Shabbats. So when you see Shabbats in that text, is referring to the feast days. And when he said covenant, the Shabbat is covered as far as the traditional 7-day Shabbat is under the covenant. But they were referred to as sons of strangers. So Israel, even when the northern kingdom went into sin, guess what? They were never viewed as being a potential Israelite or had to go through a conversion. There's no conversion process for blood descendants of Israel from another blood descendant of Israel. Can somebody tell me if that's if there's one line of text that says the blood descendants of Israel had to go through a conversion? What are they converting to? Can you guys, if you know of any text, if you think that there's a text that says Israel has to go through a conversion, any brother that strays away from Torah has to come back and become Israel all over again. If there's any scriptures there, post it. Have you guys heard of that? Yes, if you heard that, it's a scripture out there. or no. If you disagree, say, hey, no, there's not a single scripture. Type 2. Let's see some of the responses here. Absolutely not. That's right. That's right. Absolutely not. Dante Williams. Absolutely not. No, there's not one. Right. Let's see. Don't post against the natural branches. Right. You know, we see a lot of responses here. Everyone is in agreement. 2s. I see no's and 2s. Right. No's and 2s. Right. Let's see here. Ernest Higgins, you know, peace and blessings to you, my brother. All right. Peace and blessings to you as well. Rose Mitchell, every last one of you guys. I'll just put some names up here. My cousin, Dr. Ekar Senior, subscribe to his YouTube channel, family. Got a great content that he's sharing with the people. Subscribe to his channel. So far, everyone is saying no. I want to say peace and blessings to my cousin and his wife. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you for the love and support, and great video earlier, short video with you guys supporting the African American was that the African festival that was there, supporting the local businesses and encouraging us to do so. So that was very refreshing seeing you guys hang out with each other. Really appreciate all that you guys are doing. Let's see here. Miss B, so far, everyone is saying no. Every one of you guys are saying no, right? Yah's son, that's right. You know, no one has found it yet. I'm just trying to figure out here when did or is there any scriptures that say that if you are an Israelite, right, and you stray away, you have to go through a conversion process? See, that's some traditions that has nothing to do with Torah. And guess what? Right? Using the same scripture, you know, the prodigal son. And man, I'm gonna see if I could find that here. I gotta find that presentation, because I'll show you here that they're using the same scriptures about the prodigal son and twisting that out of context. Let me see something here. Let me see if I could pull up that presentation and give you a little information on conversos, but the scriptures that they use to do that. Let me see here. Let me see if I could pull that up here. Man, and that presentation has a lot of information in it. So let me see if I could pull that up here, and we'll just deal with that real quick. Let's see here. Let me. Man, I did so many presentations. It's like if you don't touch on them regularly, you start forgetting exactly what's what. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll see if I can find that one. I think that was in the one that I did. I don't believe in God, but I'm not a Christian. Well, I'm not an atheist. Let me see if I can find that one. Let me see here. All right, let's see. I think it's this one. No heretic. Let me see if it's this one here. If it's this one, I will pull it up on the screen for you. Let's see. Nope, it's not this one. Well, in a nutshell, family, I thought I had it here, but in a nutshell, what they use is Luke chapter 15, right? They twist that text out of, how they do it? Witchcraft, because that's what it is. Anomia, the Greek word, if we want to just deal with the Greek, work of iniquity is someone that bends and twists the commandments, the words, the instructions of the Most High that purposely manipulate and alter, modify the word of the Most High. So they are referred to as witchcraft, pharmakia. That's where the word comes from, witchcraft, right? Anamia, those that are bending and twisting the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. That is a worker of iniquity. All right. So yeah, sorry about that, fam. I thought I had it here. If I come across it, I'll pull it up. But that's what the Roman Catholics, that's what the church had. They did when it came to our ancestors. They forced them into a conversion, and they used the prodigal son as the scriptures that they came up with this whole conversion process. All right. And so that's the same thing that we hear about this conversion process that Rabbi is pointing out to the Igbos, that, hey, you know what? You guys got to go through a conversion in order to be accepted. Right. Again, having the potential, little Israel, lowercase Israel, having the potential, showing the capacity of being able to develop into something in the future. All right. Then we see here the noun that says qualities or abilities that may be developed and lead to future success or usefulness. All right. So the scattered Israelites have the potential or capacity to become or develop into other Israelites. See, that's not a single biblical text. So when I hear stuff like this, even though the rabbi, right, acknowledges the Messiah, but he's still teaching, he's embracing the Talmud. That's Talmudic studies. That's Talmudic doctrine right there. Talmudic doctrine. And for those that are not familiar with the Talmud is supposedly the oral Torah that in the 4th, 5th century AD, that it began, the Jewish community as we know them began to write down the oral Torah. They teach that when the Most High gave Moses the Torah, right, gave the Most High the Torah. Most High gave Moses the Torah, gave him the commandments, right, gave him the covenant, that he gave him two. One was oral and one was written, right? The oral is supposed to explain the written. See, family, when you don't understand the differences between commandments, laws, and statutes, you can fall for that playbook. You could fall for that delusion, because the commandments are the covenant. The 10 commandments, those are the foundational covenant, just like the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States mimics the covenant, right? Then you have laws. The purpose of the laws is to what? Give you instructions on how to carry out the commandments. Then you have statutes. And the statutes likewise give you instructions on how to carry out the laws. So in this country, just the federal laws alone, there are 5,000 federal laws that are based off the Constitution, those foundational articles that are there inside the Constitution, right? Starting with the Bill of Rights, and then, not getting into all of that, but they are based off of those. And then you have statutes that help explain the laws. So the laws are there to show how to carry out the Constitution, right? And the statutes are in place to give you instructions on how to carry out the laws. So I want to make sure you guys understand that. So here it is with the oral Torah, right, so to speak. So the Most High gave them covenant. The Most High gave them laws, because you see laws in Exodus 20, 21, 22. You see laws. You see the covenant was given to them. Then you see what? Laws that was given to them. And you see statutes were given to them. You see Abraham had what? Laws, statutes, and commandments. So this is nothing new. So the Torah, the oral Torah, supposedly, is supposed to be the oral. And what you would hear from the rabbis, they would tell you that, hey, in the when Rome sacked Jerusalem, right? They'll tell you the Jewish community, as we know it, right? They decided to write it down. They decided to write down the oral Torah. Right? One rabbi, and I don't have the video here, says that, hey, without the Talmud, which consists of the Mishnah, right? When you understand the Mishnah and all that, man, I know I'm going a little geek mode when it comes to that. The Talmud consists of that, right? The Talmud has all that information in there. It's supposed to be the oral law. Now it's a physical law, right? It's physical writings. So now you have two Torahs, supposedly, according to them. Guess what? The Most High don't work that way. He doesn't work that way. So even though you have many rabbis or many that will call themselves Messianic Jews, but many of them are still practicing the Talmud, teaching out of the Talmud. So again, let's touch on this, family. Let's bring you up to speed. I don't want to get too geek, go too geek mode on here, which I started to. So the scattered Israelites have the existing qualities or abilities to develop into the other Israelites. That's what he said. So this statement simply means becoming converts, right? Becoming proselytes or proselytos, right? And we see that proselytos, excuse me. But we see that when we read here, it says here, from the alternate of, well, that's the telling you where it comes from, an arrival from a region, a foreign region, an example, and setter, in other words, convert to Judaism. Now, this, when we start getting into these labels, that's when you start getting into a lot of issues. Now you start getting a construct that you can hide a lot of stuff under, right? When we look at this Greek word, we see this Greek word used in Acts chapter 2, when it mentions all the different Israelites that was coming from different areas to honor Shabbat Awath, right? Which some of you guys may say Shavuot, however you want to pronounce it, but the ancient pronunciation is Shabbat Awath, right? They were coming to honor the feast day, right? This holy feast day, right? 7 Shabbats after the week of the Passover, right? The week of the beginning of the feast of the unleavened bread, right? So they're coming there, right, to honor this feast day, right? So later on in that scripture, you see how the Holy Spirit, right, filled the entire house, right? Over 120 people inside this house got filled with the Holy Spirit. But when you go down and start reading that text, you'll see when they deal with the Romans, right? In Rome, it shows that there were blood descendants of Israel and there were proselytes, right? You cannot be an Israelite and be a convert to your own culture. See, this is what happens when you have people dictating the narrative. I want to make sure you guys understand this. You cannot be converted to your own heritage. It's yours. It's yours. What's that that old song? Dun, 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 dun. It's yours. That's old school J High style. That was one of my favorite cut up songs, that beat. It's yours. So family, you don't have to convert to something that's already yours. See, we are the only community, right? We get pulled from Christianity, right? Our ancestors got pulled, by Christianity and Catholicism to convert. And now today we hear the same thing coming out of this rabbi's mouth, that we have to convert. Convert to what? embracing the Talmud. If you listen to the Igbo conversation, Tila Rock, there you go. That was my cut. It's yours. Conversating. All right. Anyway, y'all about to make me quote that, right? That was my cut. But when he, in his conversation with the Igbos, right, he was telling them in a nutshell that in the video, I didn't have it in the clips, that he said that they were out of order, said that they were wicked. Their ancestors were wicked because of what they were practicing. They were not practicing Torah, but then as they were talking, you see that Torah is embedded in their culture. From circumcision, right, to what was the other thing? The feast days. They even made reference to Equiana. Made reference to him. So how can you convert to something that's already yours? It's yours, right? So why do the blood descendants of Israel need to convert to Judaism? Right? And let me give you clarity. The Oxford Dictionary definition of the word Judaism, it says the monotheistic religion of the Jewish people. For its origins, Judaism looks to the biblical covenant made by God with Abraham and to the laws revealed to Moses and recorded in the Torah, supplemented by the rabbinical Talmud. Supplemented, right? Substitute. That's a supplement. That's just a glorified word of saying substituted. Exchange, substituted. Doesn't that sound familiar? That the Pope is supposed to be the vicar of Christ, the Messiah. He's the substitute. So the Talmud is supposed to be a substitute to the Torah, which established the Jewish people's relationship with God since the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem 70 AD. The rituals of Judaism have centered on the home and the synagogue, the chief day of worship being the Sabbath. In other words, sunset on Friday to sunset on Saturday. And the annual observances include Yom Kippur and Passover. So the Talmud is supposed to be the oral Torah, as I pointed out, that was revealed to Moses and recorded in Torah. Is supposed to be the supplemented, it's a substitute to the original Torah. Anyway, so supplement means to provide in addition to what is already present or available to complete or enhance it. So it's saying that the oral Torah is supposed to enhance the Torah, when actually the way that it's being taught is a substitute. So supplement means to provide in addition to what is already present or available to complete or enhance it. So the Talmud is supposed to enhance the Torah? How? But they actually teach it as a replacement, not just a supplement, but a substitute. Because guess what? You hear more about the Talmud. You got more things that's being pushed in the Talmud that's not Torah, complete contradictions, but that overwrites it. So what does the Talmud say about you, Negroes? Negas. That's right, negas. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Naged, Nagad. What does the scripture say about you? And for those that don't know, negas, Nagad, nigger, not Niger, they all mean king. Nagid or Nagad, David was the head Nagad in charge. King Saul was the head Nagad in charge. Solomon was the head Negas, right, in charge. Come on, family, I'm being real with you guys. Loosen up and having a little fun tonight. All right. So What does it have to do with us niggas? I know some of you guys like, nigga, please. Right? Niggas, please. Anyway. But what does it have to do? What does the Talmud say about us? What does it say about us? Let's see what it says. Barakoth 58b. Let's see what it says. Right? Blessed be, no, let's start right up here. But in family, if you understand the Talmud, and for me, and this is no disrespect to my mother, but my mother practices Judaism. She's been practicing Judaism forever, right? She got the full library of the Talmuds and the Midrash and all that other stuff. So when you understand the Talmud, you have to understand this term called apparatic criticus, right? So the example of the apparatic criticus or whatever is Rabbi A says, Rabbi A says, Rabbi B says, Rabbi C says. So they're all bearing witness to one another. That's kind of like the structure of the Talmud. You know, think about that term apparatic criticus or whatever. That's how the Talmud flows. All right. And so when we deal with that, when we understand that, that's what this is reading. Rabbi A said, Rabbi B said, and Rabbi C said. So when we see Joshua and Levi said, on seeing pockmarked purses, one says, blessed be he who makes strange creatures. An objection was raised. If one sees a Negro, a very red or white or very white person, in other words, that's we're dealing with albinism, a hunchback, and a dwarf, notice what it says. Our rabbis taught on seeing an elephant, an ape, or a long-tailed ape. One says, blessed be he who makes strange creatures. Notice how they're referring to us as strange creatures. They're also referring to us and comparing us to apes, right? This is what they teach about how we got dark skin. 3 copulated in the ark, and they were all punished. The dog, the raven, Ham. The dog was doomed to be tied. The raven expectorates. I'm not getting into all of that. And Ham was smitten in his skin. And in the footnotes, it says, from him descended Cush, the niggas, right? The Negro, who is black skinned. You see, they have an influence on the Jehovah's Witnesses because they push this same stuff. I'm not going too deep on here, right? The white race exhibits some qualities of superiority over others. We are to remember that there are wide differences in the same Caucasian. In other words, this is how they define Caucasians, Semitic and Aryan family. And we also should remember that some of the qualities which have given, he foretold that that this degeneracy would mark the posterity of Canaan, degrading him, making him servile. We are not able to determine to a certainty that the sons of Ham or Ham and Canaan are the Negroes, but we consider that general view as probable as any other. So in 1902, guess what? You know how they refer to us. They refer to us as beasts. They refer to us as being created on the 5th day. Right? They had all these different things that were circulating about our community. So they're saying, but we consider the general view. So the general view of the church, as far as Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, all viewed us as being descendants of Ham. And we were smitten in, our color skin. We was punished with our color skin because, of being cursed. We see this in another publication within them. Right. I'm not going to get into this, but it says in answer, it says, is there anything in the Bible that reveals the origins of Negroes? And this is the Golden Age, 1929, still a Jehovah's Witness publication. It is generally believed that the curse which Noah pronounced upon Canaan was the origin of the black race. Let me fast forward. Right. We see the influence on Judaism on Mormonism. And unfortunately, we see brothers and sisters that's going after this this religious belief system, starting to embrace all kinds of doctrines coming out of there. Hard to believe. We got Mormon brews. Now they going into all kinds of stuff. Family, stay away from this stuff. Stay away from this stuff. Joseph Smith was a pedophile. He was twisted. I could go right down the list. The Most High did not use him to write any additional information. Anyway, he did not speak to any other nation outside of Judah like he spoke to Judah. So don't think he wrote some mysterious books and the Messiah appeared here in the Americas and pulled a pedophile aside and began to download information to him. Come on, family, stay away from that. But anyway, Mark of Cain, Mormon doctrine, right? This is what it says, right? This is coming, the Mark of Cain, Bruce R. McConkey's Mormon Doctrine, 1958 edition, page 107, 108. To illustrate, Cain, Ham, and the whole Negro race have been cursed with black skin. The mark of Cain, so they can be identified as a caste apart, a people with whom the other descendants of Adam should not intermarry. Why? Because again, they did not view us as actually being people. They viewed us as being beasts. And anyway, not getting into all of that. So we see this here. We see the Talmud about marriage, you know, how they can take our women. You know what I mean? Let me just read one more thing from here, and then we'll leave the Talmud alone. It says, this is Barakat 61a. And the rear which, oh yeah, this one right here. This is dealing with Adam and Eve having two faces, right? Notice what it says here. This is coming from the Midrash. I mean, Barakat 61a, which ultimately coming from the Midrash. It says here, no objections can be raised against the one who says it was a face. So they're trying to determine that Adam have a tail, that Adam have a face, right? And this is giving you confirmation on it, right? One say that he had two faces. Another one say he had a tail, as you see here, right? But they're getting this from the Midrash, right? Here's the Midrash, right? Notice what it says on your screen, right? Now I'll put it in the background here too, right? Is it back here? Yeah, you see here? Just so you don't think I'm making this up, right? When the Holy One, blessed he be, created Adam, he created him an hermaphrodite. This is coming from the Midrash, family. This is coming from the Midrash. But this is supposed to be the oral Torah in writing. He created him an hermaphrodite. In other words, Hermes Aphrodites, right? Hermaphrodite, bisexual, transvestism is what anyway. So let me see what else here. I think that's, we'll stop here. But I just wanted to give you guys some information from the first presentation. Let me go back to the other presentation. Let me stop here. All right, let me go back to the other. All right, let me end this one here. All right, because I didn't want to continue on with that. All right, so let's get back over to here because we got a lot to cover, right? Let me play a couple of clips and then we'll set this thing up because you're going to notice a playbook here and we're going to deal with it. I'm going to play it first and then we'll elaborate on it. Here we go. Let's play it real quick. Let me pull it up here. Now pay attention to this, family. Peep it out.
You are saying that the Igbo people have lost their identity
contact with their God, with their maker, with their origin.
Okay. How do we know? We were this week, Abraham, we were in the place called Igbo Gad, Igbo Gad, the place, the palace of God. Yes. We saw some things there. How do we know If you are to tell me succinctly, how do we know? Do you believe that you are ancestors from the tribe of God? Do you believe that you are ancestors from the tribe of God? Do you believe that you are ancestors from the tribe of God? Do you believe that you are ancestors from the tribe of God?
Of course, we believe that we are ancestors of the tribe of Gad. Let me make it more clearer. Just like you rightly said before, that even after the dispersion of the children of Israel, that the 10 tribes, that there were other tribes that deflated to Judah. There were other tribes that deflated to Judah. There were other tribes that deflated to Judah. There were other tribes that deflated to Judah.
That's right.
And that is to say,
A portion.
Judah is a mixture of other tribes.
That's right.
Good. Now, when you come to this very part of the world where the Igbos exist, yes, we are called the tribe of Gad because the first person to enter here among all the tribes is God himself. But we have other tribes scattered all over the place. We have the tribe of Judah, we have so many
the tribe of
like
Dan
and Levi in this very place.
Right.
We have other tribes scattered all over the place. We have the tribe of Judah, we have so many
the tribe of
like
Dan
and Levi in this very place.
Right.
We have other tribes scattered all over the place. We have the tribe of Judah, we have so many
the tribe of
like
Dan
and Levi in this very place.
Right.
But we have other tribes scattered all over the place. We have the tribe of Judah, we have so many
the tribe of
like
Dan
and Levi in this very place.
Right.
Now, so but all put together, like we have already said most of the time, that inside every Jew is the 12 tribe.
Absolutely.
So we are made up of all the tribe of Israel here in Nigeria. Made up of all the tribe of Israel here in Nigeria. Made up of all the tribe of Israel here in Nigeria. But we have other tribes scattered all over the place. We have the tribe of Judah, we have so many
the tribe of
like
Dan
and Levi in this very place.
Right.
Now, so but all put together, like we have already said most of the time, that inside every Jew is the 12 tribe.
Absolutely.
So we are made up of all the tribe of Israel here in Nigeria.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but there's some uniqueness here that we cannot ignore with the tribe of God.
Now, family, notice that this rabbi constantly pushed the tribe of tribe of God. He constantly pushed the tribe of God, even when the elders made it clear that the Igbos consist of all the tribes. And he began to say Judah, he began to say Levi, the Levites, but he continued to push the tribe of God. And I'm going to tell you that is a playbook of theirs, because if you notice that and this is why I tell you he's pushing that Talmudic stuff, because in the Talmud, right, they push that they recognize that the northern kingdom was scattered throughout Africa. So you'll notice that they don't have a problem with conceding the northern kingdom. And I know some of you guys probably asking, well, why, Pastor? Why, Pastor? Why are they willing to concede the northern kingdom? I mean, Israel is still Israel. See, they're willing to concede the northern kingdom, right? And I don't have my presentation for the Zionism because I will go into that because it's in the Sanhedrin. I believe in Sanhedrin 94 really talks about them as far as the northern kingdom going being scattered far as in Africa, further down in Africa. But anyway, so they're willing to concede that. But I'm going to ask you this question, family. Why is that? Why is the rabbi here and others are pushing? Let me see if I can pull this clip up. Why do you think that they are really pushing hard for the northern kingdom? They're willing to concede that the northern kingdom is for our people, but that's where they stop at. Right? I'm going to play one more video and actually I'll answer that question. If you have an answer to it, post it.
That we are the more divided is what day?
Let me post
divided is what day?
Stop right here.
Divided is what day?
Mm-hmm. All right. There we go. This is what I want to share with you real quick. All right. So notice this here. This is Rabbi Messi. I call him Messier or Messi, whatever his name is. But I want you to listen to him because you're going to hear him refer to our people as being the 9 tribes. He's going to say the 9 tribes are dark melanated people. He says 2/3 basically, or 3/4 of Israel is melanated. But why is it that they're holding on to a particular group? Let me let you hear it here.
Sunday.
And yet our God said that he's going to bring back all cultures. So write this down. The next thing I tell the culture is, of the 12 tribes of Israel, how many are black? 8. 8 of the 12 tribes. So 2.
Well, actually he said 8. So 2/3 of the tribes, I could have sworn he said 9, but he said 2/3 of the tribes are black. So you know he's referring to the Northern Kingdom. And family, most of you guys may not know that initially when the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom split, right? It was initially Judah and the Benjamites that was together, right? Later, because of Jehoram, because of all the craziness he was indulging into, he decided to replace the priesthood. The Levites fled to Judah, and Judah was under the authority of the Southern Kingdom, as far as Jerusalem, rather. So later on, the 3rd tribe, right? Well, the Levites came down and, connected with Judah. So that's why when you read the scriptures, you'll see the Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom, and Jerusalem. Jerusalem represents the heart. And primarily, that's what the temple was in Jerusalem. Right. So when you understand that, right, there's a reason. Let me play this again, and then we'll elaborate on it.
That he's going to bring back all cultures. So write this down. The next thing I tell the culture is, of the 12 Israel, how many are black? 8. 8 of the 12 tribes. So 2/3 of the tribes are black. So isn't it interesting? I asked them, how is it that if 2/3 of all of the 12 tribes of Israel are black, when I ask you about any of the people, you say they're white? Aha. Going back to, now walk with me, the 3rd curse, again, that you would what? Forget your roots, read it to me, and what? And where you came from.
Family, let's give them the garbage can. Let's give a 3-piece. And let's toss his order out. Let's make his order to go. See, family, when you understand that they're willing to concede the Northern Kingdom, right, it's because they understand that the kingship, as far as the royalty, comes from Judah. The Messiah comes from Judah, not Ephraim, comes from Judah. And we'll deal with that again next week. Not Ephraim, not the Northern Kingdom, but it's going to come from Judah. So the first king of Israel was a Benjamite. The second king of Israel, Judah. So you have royalty in both the Benjamites and you have the royalty in Judah. But then also you have the Levites. Then you have the Levites. The Levites are very influential. See, you have 3 key groups that are very influential, and they are within Judah. So they really don't care about the northern kingdom. They don't care about those tribes. They care about the tribes that they feel has influence. So that's why you see this rabbi here, just like Rabbi Shapira, is pushing Dan. He's pushing Dan hard, even when they made it clear that the Igbos consist of more than just Gad. See, some of you guys may have caught the interview, the panel discussion on Sister E's channel a couple of weeks ago, right? Where we it was me, as far as myself, Benea and her with Rabbi, or not Rabbi, but Elder Remy of the Igbo tribe. Shout out to Elder Remy. And I asked him a specific question. If you guys remember this, I asked a specific question. And the specific question that I asked was, can you tell us what tribes make up the Igbos? Is it just the tribes of Gad, the tribe of Gad? And he made it clear. The Igbo consists of multiple tribes, all the tribes. But yet, Rabbi is trying to keep them within Gad. So, family, contrary to what some of our brothers and sisters think and believe, guess what? There's something special about all of Israel. All the tribes are important. Because if they weren't, their names would not be on the temple, the doors of the temple, the gates of the temple. Guess what? Even non-blood descendants of Israel, guess what? You're going to have to go through the tribes in order to get into the temple. In order to get into Jerusalem, you got to go through us. You can't disregard us. But again, the royalty, the blessing was given to Judah. The priesthood was given to the Levites. Even though the Most High did not put King Saul in place, the people wanted King Saul, but the Most High still anointed him. Because if the people, right, was thinking that the royalty was going to come from Ephraim, they had a perfect opportunity to elect Ephraim, one of the descendants from Ephraim. But no, they went with King Saul, because King Saul was head and shoulders taller than all the others. But we'll deal with it again. We'll deal with Ephraim part 2 next week, because I said I would finish that out. And I encourage you guys, if you haven't seen part 1, watch part 1. I did it about a week ago, and prove that the blessing went directly to, as far as the blessing of the Messiah, the Messianic blessing in the royal seed was given directly to Judah. But the birthright blessing, which is territory, went directly to Ephraim. It was split among Ephraim and Manasseh, as far as when we look at what happened to Reuben. I go through all of that with scripture and sources. So a week ago, I touched on all that. And I'm not trying to sound redundant here. All right. So again, that's the playbook, family. They don't care about the northern kingdom. What they care about is what they deem to be the very influential group. And that's the southern kingdom, Judah, Yahweh. There's something special about you, Judah. There's something special about you, Israel, as a whole. But there's something special about you, Judah. Guess what? Nobody can sing like Judah. Nobody can sing like Judah, right? Nobody could worship like Judah. The buck stops with Judah, right? That's why when Rachel was going through her situation, not Rachel, but Leah was going through her situation, it took her to get to Judah to say, you know what, I'm not going to keep having these babies by this man that don't love me, hoping that the more I have babies, the eventually he's going to say he loved me. Said, no, I ain't gonna deal with, he's like, nah, she's like, I'm not gonna put my trust in this man no more. That's why it says Judah means what? Praise Yahweh. Yada'a Yahweh. Thawada Yahweh. Declare Yahweh. All right. So, yeah, someone asked a question about Dan. Yeah, Dan, when you look at Dan, read Judges, you'll see the book of Judges that Dan went way out there. All right, we'll do a teaching on Dan. All right, but anyway, so let's go ahead and get into this because I want to deal with some DNA. So before we deal with some DNA, let's listen to what this rabbi say. And this the part where I was a little disappointed on this part, but I want you guys to hear what he say about the DNA to our brothers and sisters here. To our brothers right here. Let's see what he said about the DNA. Let me pull it up here. All right, here we go.
Here's my question to you.
Go ahead.
Recently, they did a DNA testing in this country on some of the Igbo people.
All right.
The results came disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that result make any impact on you, on your outlook and your connection with Israel? For you personally?
Now, President, I was part of the people who took part in that test.
Okay.
I didn't even have all the details. But for all we know, that every Igbo man here knows that we are part of the lost 10 tribe of Israel. DNA test or no DNA test, we know that we are part of the lost 10 tribe of Israel. And besides, those of you out there in Israel, I know that as far back as 1919, there was nothing like Israel. You were scattered all over the world. I know how the scientist of Manchester University, Dr. Let me recall his name now, who invented an atom during the First World War. Right. Then, and Theodor Herzl, a journalist who now started moving for the Zionist organization. We know that we are Igbos. So now, and again, there are two things that qualify you as a Jew. You are either a Jew by birth or by faith. Because it is a historical fact that all the people who left to Egypt with Israel, when they were living in Egypt, all of them were not Jews. And there is no record that somewhere along the line that they were ostracized. No, they remain Jews. So the Igbo man is a Jew. By practice, by belief, everything we do here has this connection with Israel.
I tell you, I have difficulty with this statement because you lost the Torah. You lost the Torah. I have some difficulty with this.
Okay.
I can say you are part of the tribes of Israel, but to be a Jew, and this is what the government of Israel fighting with.
All right.
What to do, and not just about you, what to do about the Ethiopians, what to do about the Lemba people. What do you do about them? Some rabbis trying to push. There was an interesting thing that happened here in Nigeria. Rabbis came and they did an Orthodox conversion of the Igbo people. And when they went to Israel, they didn't recognize this conversion. Yeah. So the question whether or not the Igbo people have to go through a conversion process is, to me, it's something you're not going to win. The state of Israel will say yes. You still have to go through a conversion. Me personally, I don't believe that. I think you are part of the household of Israel, but you still have to go through a process, whether or not you call it conversion or what you conversion, to learn the tradition. You know what the difference between you guys and let's say every other Jew who's been scattered in the world? They kept the Torah. You guys kind of, because the tribe of God, because what happened, some of this was lost. Because the tribe of God, because what happened, some of this was lost. Because the tribe of God, because what happened, some of this was lost. Because the tribe of God, because what happened, some of this was lost. So I think our mission here is to resurrect those traditions.
Now, I would say this, and this is where family, you have to be sharp. You have to, the Hebrew word Shemai, some would say Shemai, but it's Shemai in ancient Hebrew. It means to listen with intelligence. And if you listen to what, how strategic and how Rabbi chose his words, if you listen, the elder on the left, he began to say conversion indirectly when he said that there's two ways you could be a Jew: by bloodline or by faith. See, family, the faith portion, and then he made reference to Exodus. That's not correct, family. He made reference to Exodus while they were in Egypt and some of the mixed multitude that made it out of Egypt. See, that's not correct, family. See, the mixed multitude was still, there was still a distinction between Israel and those that were other people that was non-descendants of Israel. They were referred to as strangers. So you had the homeborn and you had the strangers. So when they came out of Egypt, even though they had faith in for them to practice, do the Passover, guess what? They had to be circumcised, and to honor the Shabbat, right? They had to be circumcised. If they didn't, guess what? They couldn't honor it. So Exodus 12 makes it clear: one law for the homeborn and for who? The strangers. Not Jewish. Jewish is not, we should never, and I encourage you guys, watch the lesson. It's on my main page, Words of Confusion, one of the series, and I deal with the word Gentile and I deal with the word Jew. Matter of fact, I just realized I could do something here. I'm gonna plug up while we're talking here. I may see if I can upload a couple of clips from Facts Are Facts by a Jewish guy by the name of Benjamin Friedman. So, family, we have to listen with intelligence. So, even though early on here, this is early on in the interview, the elder, he made a gaffe, and all of us do that. But he cleaned it up at the end when he made it clear, hey, a Jew, right, is, what do he say? He says, anyone can be, he said all of them are Israel, but not everyone is a Jew, right? In other words, the Jew, Judah, southern kingdom, but then when you take it a step further, you have the tribe of Judah. So he made it clear that, hey, you don't have to convert to anything to try to become Judah, because Judah is set aside. The tribe of Judah is set aside. Two sticks come together to be one. Guess what? You want to have Judah, one Judah, not the southern kingdom, Judah, but the tribe of Judah. You have the tribe of Benjamin and you have the tribe of Levi. They're going to be all separate tribes, but one stick, one branch, right? So he did, like I said, in the end, he caught it, he cleaned it up. But here, he slipped up here, I believe, because, when you get in, when it's easier to say or do Monday morning quarterback on a discussion after the fact versus being engulfed in the discussion. So you can easily say something and slip up. I've done that myself. But anyway, so let's deal with this here. Let's deal with exactly what they were talking about. Let's deal with the DNA, because we talked about the DNA. Let's explain the DNA, family. Let's go through the DNA. Some of you guys are going to remember some of this stuff that I cover. And some of you guys not going to know any of it, but I'm gonna cover some of the stuff that I've covered on as a routine. But I'm gonna add, I got a couple of things that I shared early on when I was doing this lesson that I decided that I'm going to do it added to this presentation. So let's start with dealing with the Jewish community. as we know them. It's still with the Ashkenazi Jewish community. This is coming from an article titled "Highlight Out of Khazaria, Evidence for Jewish Genome Lacking." And guess what? This geneticist, I have his lecture on this page. I encourage you guys, go through the playlist. It's there under lectures, the playlist lectures. You'll see Aaron Elhake, right? You'll see his lecture, and all of this is there. Aaron Elhake, a geneticist at the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, thinks so. In other words, in a recently published study in genome biology, he is calling for a rewrite of commonly held assumptions about Jewish ancestry. Notice what he's saying. He said he's calling for a rewrite. Like, hey, history is not accurate about how it's been writing or the assumptions that have been made about the Jewish ancestry. This is what he goes on to say. Instead of being primarily the descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel, present-day Jewish population finds Elhake, primarily the children of a Turkish people. I hope y'all grabbed hold of that. Let me read that part again. I hope y'all grab hold of that, right? Let me read that again, right? It says here, present-day Jewish population finds Elhake, primarily the children of a Turkish people. What? That's what he said. That's what he said. All right. So let me read it again. Present day Jewish population finds Elhake primarily the children of a Turkish people. It's right inside your right on your screen. What? Right on your screen. I'm not going to do slow-mo right now, but here we go. One more time. Present-day Jewish populations finds Elhake primarily the children of a Turkish people who lived in what is now Russia, north of Georgia, east of Ukraine. What? This civilization, the Khazars, converted from tribal religions in Judaism between the 7th and the 9th century. Key points about the Jewish, the Ashkenazi Jews. Here's the key points about them. DNA ties the Ashkenazi Jews to just a group of 330 people from the Middle Ages. This is coming from LA Times. So says a new study in journal Nature Communication, and international teams of scientists sequenced the complete genomes of 128 healthy Ashkenazi Jews and compared each of those sequences with the others, as well as with the DNA of 26 Flemish people from Belgium. Notice you don't see any Negroes up in here. You don't see any Negas or Naga up in here. Notice who they ran the test on. 128 healthy Ashkenazi Jews, and compared each of those sequences with the others, as well as with the DNA of 26 Flemish people from Belgium, right? Their analysis allowed them to trace the genetic roots of this population to a founding group in the Middle Ages called Ashkenaz, right? So let me tell you, they said 330 people, a population of a founding group in the Middle Ages. Middle Ages is not the Antiquities. Middle Ages, when they deal with Middle Ages, they dealing with 10th century, 11th century to the 15th century. This is why you have to do your due diligence. See, many of you guys, when you think of Middle Ages, many of you guys are going all the way, automatically go back to the Antiquities. But when you understand, and I encourage you guys, if you could put another screen up on your computer, pull up Oxford Dictionary online, or just type in Middle Ages, Oxford Dictionary definition of Middle Ages, and you're going to see that the Middle Ages is going to be from the 11th century, 10th, 11th century to the 15th century. That's Middle Ages. So they tracked the Ashkenazi Jewish community as we know them, track their ancestry all the way back to the 10th century, Middle Ages, not back to antiquity. All right. So it says here, Ashkenaz in Hebrew refers to Germany, and Ashkenazi Jews are those who originated in Eastern Europe, not just Germany, Eastern Europe. Here's another article. Well, actually, this is coming from Nature Communication. Sequencing and Ashkenazi Reference Panel supports population-targeted personnel genomics and eliminates Jewish and European origins. Right? This is dated September 2014. Right? And notice what it says. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's confirming what we read in the article. It says, when we see AJ, that's Ashkenazi Jew. Here we report high depth of sequencing of 128 complete genomes of AJ controls, right? Compared with European samples, our AJ has 47 more novel variants. But it goes on to say our panel improves imputation accuracy for AJ SNP arrays by 28% and covers at least one haplotype and 67% of any AJ genome with long identical by descent segments, right? But it goes on to say, now in the article it says 330, right? But here it says 350. It says here reconstructing a recent AJ, in other words, Ashkenazi Jewish history from the segments confirms a recent bottleneck of merely 350 individuals, not families, but we're going back to what, the 10th century, and what, the Germany, that whole area. Khazari consisted of areas of Germany, Ukraine, Russia. That's all the area right there. 350 individuals. Here's another source, Khazari, E and J haplogroups. Right. Notice what this says here, right? All my E1B1A brothers and sisters out here. But notice what it says here. The Norway Project. The most common Y-DNA, in other words, paternal haplogroups, are I1, R1A, R1B, and I1 is Scandinavia's most common Y-DNA haplogroup, and it probably originated in Denmark. Some members of the project belongs to subclades like I1D1, I1D3A, R1A, common in Eastern Europe, is also found in this project in subclades. And it gives you the information there. R1A1A, R1A1A, no, R1A1A, yeah, R1A1A1, R1B, common in Western Europe, is also found in this project in subclades, and gives all the subclades here. The N1C1 is a subclade found in this project and is especially common among Finns, Estonians, and Sami or Sami. So it's believed to have come from intermarrying from Sami men. Less common haplogroups that members have included among others. But notice what it says, right? This group says less common haplogroups have members that members have included, right? So making it clear that these guys are not connected to these subgroups here. I mean, these groups here, E1B1, A1B, right? And some other ones here. But notice what it says here. E and J haplogroups have Middle Eastern origins. So wait a minute. E and J haplogroups have Middle Eastern origins. Wait a minute. What is the Middle East? What is the Middle East? Well, let someone answer this question if I still have the video up. I think I kept it up here. This is the Middle East.
Most Egyptologists and anthropologists, archaeologists of the Eurocentric persuasion will say that Egypt is in Africa. They had to concede that, but then they still draw the line by saying that they weren't Africans like that. In other words, they weren't dark-skinned people. And of course, this is all part of the Great Deception. And the reality is that if they give up Egypt, ancient Kemet, if they give that up and say that that was a part of Black Africa, then they will also have to give up Israel. And that's why they draw the line at Egypt, because if they give up Egypt, they've got to give up Israel.
Now, we're going to go over here and I'm going to show you where Israel sits on the African tectonic plate, which means that Israel is northeast Africa. Now, when we look at this map, this is the Sinai. Okay, this is the Red Sea. This is Egypt. This is the Sinai. This is Israel. All right, this is Saudi Arabia over here. Now, if you see this in Hebrew, it says Haluach Afrikani, the African plate. Here it is right here. Israel is sitting right here. Israel is sitting on the Haluach Afrikani, which means that Israel is northeast Africa.
Without question, we are in Northeast Africa. We are landlocked to Egypt, with the exception of the Suez Canal, which was a man-made ditch, a boundary now between, in fact, it's not even really a boundary anymore since Egypt has reclaimed the Sinai Peninsula. But nevertheless, even those of us who are Pan-Africanists in our thinking and Afrocentric, we forget and we leave off that portion of Northeast Africa and don't want to claim anything beyond that.
Europeans classified this area as a Middle East. You know, and then since this the Middle East, the other question, where the Middle West? Where the Middle North and where the Middle South? They don't have no geographical terms like that.
So family, you have it, right? And let me just put a little side note here. Family, some of the brews that are up in here, I'm not saying all, probably a few here, stop hating on Africa. Because even the name Africa, if you study the works of Josephus, the historian, right? He writes that the word Africa, right? The word comes from Abraham and Keturah, their son Afar. So the name Afar, right, or Africa, is a Shemitic name. And there's a lot of, and excuse me for saying this, but there's a lot of disrespectful doctrine that's going out here that's saying, oh, the entire continent of Africa, that was Ham. Right? So we see writings of Josephus pointing to the name Africa itself. And yeah, I see you, Doctor. I see you because Akibulan is what the consensus is saying. That's the original name for the continent. Right? But we see Josephus and some of the earlier theologians even mention the works of Josephus and even mention that Afar or Africa, that word did not come from the Romans, right? I already did a lesson on that, but that's a Shemitic word. Afar, Abraham is a Hebrew. Because it burns me up when I see I'm a little sensitive when I hear people put stuff out there or see people putting stuff out there. Hey, we're not Africans. Guess what? What African is an African? Africa is a continent, not a one country. It's a continent. And each nation there, or their nations, individual nations. Africa is a continent. So I just want to make that clear, fam, because, we have to be careful. We have to make sure that we put things in its proper perspective. Ham did not conquer, or Canaan did not conquer the entire continent. All right. But anyway, that's a whole nother discussion, and we'll do a lesson on that. All right. So let's stop with the hate, man, because it doesn't help, because guess what? The descendants of Japheth stole our identity. And guess what? They stole the Egyptians' identity. They tried to do it with the Ethiopians, but they couldn't colonize them. Remember, the Egyptians, it says that they fled as well. They got scattered as well. So this is where we got to be careful, man. You know, I'm a little, you know, it touches me, it hits me the wrong, some kind of way. I'm not going to say the wrong way. It hits me some kind of way when we constantly putting out stuff that can have people looking at us side eye. Let's be respectful, family. Scripture tells us, right, in Deuteronomy, not to hate on the Egyptians. And when I hear those terms like, you know, about Africa, you know, and those, oh, I'm glad I'm not a Hamite, man. Stop with that. Stop with it. Right. Let's not be the ugliness that we've been subjected to. You know, let's stop it, man. All right. But anyway, let's get back into it. Let's finish up this DNA, because I got to cut another point I want to make before we wrap up. The modern Jew. Right. Y'all see those pictures? These are the modern, what would be considered modern Jews. So the question is, how can they all be Jews, yet they are completely different? Have you guys asked that question before? How can they all be Jews and be completely different? Okay, let me answer the question. This is the source. I encourage you guys, purchase this book. It will shut down every DNA argument, period. Purchase this book. It'll give you proper clarity on what's that? Yiddish. Get this book right here. Get this book. It's a little pricey, which is cool, you know, but it is well worth the cost. So let's deal with what is called genetic distances. This is what one of the hypotheses, this is one of the so-called explanations that they came up with, called genetic distances. That, hey, the reason why you see these people have different appearances, no type of resemblance of each other, is because of genetic distances. So let's see what genetic distances is. Let's see what genetic distances is. You know, hold up 1 second. Let me see if this person want to still jump on. Let me see. Let's see. Bear me 1 second. All right. All right, here we go. All right, so let's deal with the genetic distances. What is genetic distance? What is genetic distances? Here it is. A large part of the study was devoted to the determination of genetic distances between the different populations. Through this method, genetic markers from different Jewish populations are compared. The smaller the relationship, the more differences in DNA may have arisen. Such differences are called distances. Now, pay attention to this, family. 75 Caucasians, in other words, white population. Doesn't that sound familiar? You know, you'll see that in pretty much all these different testings, right? 75 Caucasians, in other words, white population. They made it clear, white, the white race, based on non-markers. The genetic distance analysis showed that East European Jews were closest to the inhabitants of Thrace, the region shared by Bulgaria, Greece, and Turkey. Bulgarian Jews came next, followed by 36 non-Flemish populations. And only then, the second Jewish population, the Iranian Jews, other results showed a large Italian component in the gene pool. In other words, the total variety of genes in a population of the Eastern European Jews. From all these results, it appears, notice what this says, it appears genetically, the different Jewish communities do not have much in common. Often they appear to be more related to the population in the midst of which they live when its genetic material was available. So this telling you that none of these groups have any relationship with each other. That's what it's saying. Right? That's what genetic distances is. That's the way that they try to test genetic distances to try to explain how you have all these different groups part of the same gene pool. Genetic distances. So basically, this is making it clear that they are not related at all. Genetically, the different Jewish communities do not have much in common. Right? Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston, right? Something in common? No, but they don't have nothing in common. And I want to highlight this article real quick. And I got my cousin Benea here. Shout outs to Benea. Benea, you want to say what's up to the people?
If I can figure out where my mute button is. Shalom, fam. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Yeah, because I was looking at the date for that article that you were reading. Was it 2017?
Which one?
The one about genetic distance. The only reason why I asked is because so I had to have some articles that I was going to drop on the follow-up video as well. And I just noticed that it was 2017 as well. So it looks like a lot of truth came out during that year, as far as the origin of the Ashkenazi Jews, and because the information that I have is right along the same lines as what you have.
Oh, this book that I made reference to. Let me go back here. It was actually a book right here. This is what you're referring to.
Yep.
Yeah, that book. Remember this book right here that we talked about?
Right.
The person that wrote this book, I can't remember his name. Not wrote the book, but the person that's referenced here, he was like the number one geneticist in the world, and he was calling out all these different poor formulas that they were putting together. And when he saw that, they were purposely not including us in the formulas.
Right.
And so that's why you'll see, like some of the articles that you have sound similar because they were using his work during that time. It was literally that was like the talk.
Right.
Because that's what you had Aaron Elhaig, coming out with his findings. And so that was like the talk, like, hey, you know what? Something's not right here. We need to talk about why things are not lining up. You know what I mean? These tests are not making any sense.
Right. Right. And go ahead, cuz I'll add on here shortly.
And family, real quick here, I want to share here what I touched on earlier was the conversation that we had with Hamadishi. Benea, you was on that conversation, right?
Yes, sir.
When he dealt with the DNA, right? And remember what he said? He said that the people that was testing him and almost 200 others, their DNA results was like not the Limbas, but the people that was testing them, the testers, the Ashkenazi testers, theirs was like 1 point something %.
Right.
At the max.
Yep.
Right. So as I stated to the people, I was going to show them this article. I'm not going to put the whole article up here, but just wanted to show and confirm what Hamadishi said is true. Before we continue, I want to say peace and blessings to Yah's son for the super sticker. Really appreciate you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for supporting the platform. Really appreciate you. So we see here, and let's go in on this right here. Right? It says Iberian and Greek population. I know Cuz can really go in on the Iberian, right? Iberia, right? That whole area. So it says here Iberian and Greek populations, or actually that's a sentence from something that I took off. I didn't include it here. So we start at the main sentence here. Ashkenazic Jews often find themselves in the peculiar situation of being 90% Ashkenazi Jewish and 99% European. Right, family? Look at what we see here. This confirms what Cohen Hamadishi said. Because he said the people that was testing them at the max was 1.5% in their DNA. And when the Limbas, when they got tested, initially the test was 25%. Then they tested them again after making whatever adjustments, and it went from 25% to 48%. Tested them again, went from 48% to 74, 75%. And then they haven't heard from them since. You know, that's how the Most High is. The Most High is not going to let our people be shamed. So we see here, it says 90% Ashkenazi Jewish and 99% European. So it's saying their DNA is saying 99% European, but out of that 99%, 90%, right? Making it clear, Ashkenazi. In other words, Germany, you know, that part of Europe we talked about, Ukraine and that area, you know, that's what they're saying right here. But Sephardic Jews be told they are mostly Middle Eastern and North Africa, and less than 10% Ashkenazic. Yeah. So this confirms exactly what Elder pointed out, Cohen Hamadishi. Stuart Schaufman, a traveler, writer, and blogger who writes under the name Broke Whatever, I ain't gonna say his name, said he brought a kit from 23andMe. Even though his family insists they're exclusively Jewish, he thought that there was a possibility that he had some non-Jewish ancestry. He said, I was curious because you never know, says Schaufman. Family stories are just stories. Schaufman, who learned that he is 99.8% Ashkenazi Jewish. Wait a minute. So that's saying that, you know what I mean? He's 99.8%. So that means that he's basically almost 100% European. Said the test hasn't made much of a difference on his Jewish identity. Notice what he says this here. Judaism really informed who I am. In other words, this belief system, because guess what? He's practicing Judaism. That's the law of return. You don't have to be a blood descendant, but if you practice in Judaism, you're a Jew. Judaism really informed who I am and my values and my views, Schaufman says. 23andMe hasn't made me made me more or less Jewry at all. I'm just Jewy.
And white.
However, Schaufman added, he's Jewy and white. While other Jews, and notice what they put here, Sephardic Jews, wait a minute. So it says the Sephardic Jews can't say they're white. Ethiopian Jews can't say they're white, can't claim that distinction. He's an ethnic minority. Remember what what the elders told to Rabbi Shapira, that said, we're the majority. You're the minority. You don't tell us and dictate to us. We dictate to you. But it says he's an ethnic minority, but a white one nevertheless. And notice what he says here. I get all the benefits of white privilege, he acknowledged. Come on, family. It's right in our face. So are there discrepancies in the DNA? Right. And I'm going to share one more article and I'll bring you, let you expound on it, because I'm going to share this, this video. I'm going to play it one more time for you, family. And then, Benea, after I share this article, you're more than welcome to rip it to shreds, you know. So I'm going to play it real quick. The family, listen to this again about the DNA again. And then I'm going to share this article with you.
So here's my question to you.
Go ahead.
Recently, they did a DNA testing in this country on some of the Igbo people.
All right.
The results came disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that result make any impact on you, on your outlook and your connection with Israel? For you personally.
Now, President, I was part of the people who took part in that test.
Okay.
I didn't even have all the details. But for all we know, that every Igbo man here knows that we are part of the lost 10 tribe of Israel. DNA test or no DNA test, we know that we are part of the lost 10 tribe of Israel. And besides, those of you out there in Israel, I know that as far back as 1919, there was nothing like Israel. You were scattered all over the world. I know how the scientist of Manchester University, Dr. Let me recall his name now, who invented an atom during the First World War. Right. Then, yes, and Theodor Herzl, a journalist who now started moving for the Zionist organization.
So y'all heard what he said, right? He called out the Zionists. Did you hear that, cuz?
Yep. Yeah, so you guys are the new kids on the block, basically.
And basically called out the discrepancies, right? So are there discrepancies in the DNA? And what's interesting is this is a article that I came across, and it's funny that you said 2017, right? Because that's what this article is titled. And I remember when it came out. Times of Israel, Messianic Jews to Nigeria. You're not real Jews. August 11th, 2017. Now, family, I'm going to drop the link inside the comment section for you guys to review at your leisure. But I'm going to drop it in the comment section just so that way you guys can go back over you guys could see and, read the article on your own. Let me see here. Where's I thought I had it here. Man, you know how you have so many windows up and you almost forget where things are. All right, here it is. I'm going to post this inside the all right, come on here. Let's see. Oops. I got to adjust this up here a little bit. That's all right.
Yeah, it's interesting because and you may have already mentioned this, so I'll apologize in advance if you already mentioned something, and I'm bringing it up again. So forgive me, fam, but like at the end of the day, just to put DNA in super simplistic terms, I mean, all it is whenever you see these DNA type of tests, is just comparing one person's DNA to either a group of DNA or another individual's DNA. That's all it is. It's just a comparison. That's all it is. So when you see articles like this and they say that, hey, Nigerians, you're not real Jews. All they did was take their DNA and compare it to someone else's DNA. And the question is, and this is the question that I wish the Igbo elders would have asked, is like, and that is, so who was the source DNA? Like, what was the DNA that you used to compare my DNA to? If it's yours, then of course I'm not going to match your DNA because you guys aren't the real Jews. Because of course they said that they were the originals, or they were the oldest and the largest Israelite group. And that's really all it is at the end of the day, fam. Especially like when you see any of these websites like 23andMe, Ancestry.com, or even My True Ancestry. So one of the things I tried to share with folks in the video that I just released, and that is when you take a look at when we compare your DNA to modern day DNA groups, like these are groups that are walking around today that you can catch a flight to and go and visit that group. When they compare your DNA to these modern day groups, the group that most of so-called African Americans match to, the closest are the Limba. Like, and that's just comparing your DNA to the Limba DNA. But, you know, and just to kind of to throw in an extra nugget here, the way that folks mislead you, or the way that folks can kind of skew the results is, you know, one is, you know, we've seen it with the Ashkenazi, is one is that they'll mess around with the source DNA, right? So they'll mess around with the DNA that they compare your DNA to, or what I've seen other people do as well is they'll compare your DNA to a different group of DNA or a different set of DNA. Like, for instance, like if you go to websites like GEDmatch or My True Ancestry, and when you put your information in there, like you'll upload your DNA in there, there are different buttons on there, right? There are different drop downs on there, and depending on what drop down you select, a different group is compared to your DNA. You know what I mean? Like when you select, like on GEDmatch, if you select MD World 2022, I think that's one of the selections. Then what that does is that compares your DNA to a certain group, right? Or if you go to My True Ancestry and you go over to the modern day ancestry comparison, I think that's the word, the option there. But it'll compare your DNA to a certain group, right? Which includes the Limba. But what some people do is that because they don't want your Limba to show up, right, in your results, they'll compare your DNA to a different group. Like they won't take you to the button click that I took you to that has the Limba in it. They'll take you to a button click that doesn't have the Limba in it, right? And then magically, you know, when you go to that result page, the Limba don't show up, right? So just certain like sleight of hand things like that when it comes to DNA that you know, that can skew the results. You know, people are using that today to promote, you know, some weird, you know, doctrine that's out there, or in the case of the you know the Ashkenazi Jews in the Igbo, you know, it can be used to flat out, you know, refuse or deny, you know, someone's, you know, claim that they are Israel.
Wow. And I hope you guys caught that. I hope you guys caught that, because as you know, my cousin pointed out, they're doing a lot of sleight of hands, you know, moving things around, even with Ancestry, for example. I remember when I first did my Ancestry DNA, initially the results came up with 49% Ghana.
Yep.
Right now it shows it's 17%. And a bulk of that now has been divided between Cameroon and Nigeria. But and good thing I keep screen prints. You know what I mean? Yep. So you know, every time I go there, I'll take a screen print. So if something changed, I got a history of the changes. So, and even to the cuz point here, I want to read this to you guys, and this is going to basically in a nutshell confirm just what Benea just pointed out. And let me see if I have it up here. And this thing is acting crazy. Let me do it right now. All right, let's try it now. It didn't change on your screen. Let me re-add it. All right, let's see here. And I'm going to read this article, family, and that's why it's imperative to you know, the sources that we're sharing.
Yep. Write
it down and vet it, read it on your own at your leisure. But that, you know, that way you truly understand what's being said. And, you know, really bring the, you know, connect the dots. So it says here, and this is from the article, right? It says here, in a move that has garnered condemnation and anger from Nigerian Jews and international scholars, Jewish Voice Ministries, a Messianic group from Arizona, announced this week that the Igbos are not genetically Jewish based on their private DNA test.
Oh, goodness.
So they came up with their own test. tested the Igbos, and they came up with this determination. See, family, one thing I stand on all the word. See, even with our DNA, let's just say some of us may feel like you got mixture in your family. Well, the Most High said he was going to clean up the DNA of Judah,
right,
of all his people.
Mm-hmm.
That's Joel chapter 3. The last verse makes it clear. You see the blood transfusion right there. He said that he will cleanse the blood of Judah. And because how in the world am I sitting at 94.5%, of as the category would be African.
Right.
Right. And they said the average is like 73 to 79%.
Mm.
And after all what our ancestors had gone through, how in the world my DNA is the results that it is, yours the DNA that it is, and our people right across the board. So don't get intimidated by the DNA stuff. The Most High made it clear he's going to cleanse our blood. And just like the whatever test that they tried to come up with to try to minimize, for example, the limba, every time they made their adjustments, the numbers went up versus reducing, declining.
Yeah.
So every time we got asked to show proof, and I've done multiple DNA tests. Right. I wasn't even thinking about doing a DNA test because that's my family tradition of being Israel. But since, the naysayers asked, so didn't do just one, did multiple, and all of them confirmed. So don't get discouraged. And as we see, the Igbos, they're confirmed anyway. Yeah. Right. So this is old here, but just want to give you an understanding of, the powers that be, so to speak, that's asking all these questions. Guess what? Many of them already have a way of trying to manipulate the results.
Yeah. Or, I mean, the fact that they gave their own tests. I mean, that's, to me, that disqualifies it right out the gate. You know what I mean? Like we talking about validation. And that's one of the things that I've seen, across the board when it comes to confirming or validating, who we are. Like, so, when we go out, when we go out and we try to, put proof out there to support, hey, we are the people of the book, we are the children of Judah, the house of Judah, we do that through books. We do that through all these references. We do that through, DNA. We do that through, archaeology and cranial analysis, language analysis, all these different things. Right. And in none of those cases were we self-validated, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't write a book and then turn around and say, hey, we are the people because of this book that I wrote. And I said so in this book that I wrote. Like, that's self-validation. That doesn't count, right? But that's what we see from the other side of the fence. All family, I'm telling you, all the time. I see it all the time. Because when me and Brother Ron Dalton, when we were early in this walk, and we were going out and we were, sharing the truth with our brothers and sisters in different states or whatnot. Some of the pushback that we would get, from people like the Ashkenazi Jews and some of these other folks, and they would say things like, "Well, you guys aren't the people, because we have this piece of information that says we're the people." And we'll say things like, "Well, okay, well, show it to us. Let me see what you have, right?" And they would give me this book, and it would be written by, someone in their community and family. I would turn around. I was like, "Nope, self-validation doesn't count." You have to give me something else, right? You can't go around in your closet and write, your own proof, right? Your own ID card, and then turn around and hand that to me. That doesn't count. In fact, we got to stop doing that. We have to stop accepting that. And that's what happened here with the, with our Igbo brothers. They went to the people who wrote the validation test themselves, and of course they're not going to be the people. I mean, that's obvious, fam. And just one quick comment here too, and that is, to be able to claim that you are the people, and this is one thing that Pastor Kelly, you just speaking on, to be able to claim that you are the people, your DNA has to match up with the scriptures. Like according to the scriptures, we all have a shared forefather in Jacob, right? We all have a shared forefather in Isaac, right? So we all should have a shared ancestry that shows up in our blood that goes back to one person. Hallelujah, right? So that's the strange thing about us so-called African Americans, us so-called Negroes scattered around the world. When they tested our blood, most of us we can see, in our DNA we go back to a shared ancestry that is relatively recent. It's not like way 10,000 40,000 years ago. It's a relatively recent ancestor that we all share. So that's a check box for us that's checked off, right? We have a shared ancestor, just like the Bible says. Secondly, fam, this is the last quick note. Especially here in the States, Israel is made up of four mothers, right? But when you look at the so-called Negroes scattered around the world, when they look at the DNA, they make the comment that, hey, well, Negroes are. It seems like they have four matriarchal mothers within their DNA strand that they all share. That's another checkbox for Israel, family. That's another checkbox for Israel. And that's what I'm saying, fam. You have to be able to check it off. But on the other side of the fence for, like the Ashkenazi, and this is one of the things that my brother Ron Dalton had brought out, and that is they don't have that shared forefather. Like they're all across the board. And I think he even went as far as making like a pie chart and showing like all the different forefathers that this one group is plugged into, and it's not, there's no continuity, right? And so just little stuff like that, fam. I know when I first came into the walk, when I started seeing stuff like that and seeing how they didn't line up with the word of the Most High, I was like, nah, we got to look someplace else for the people of the book.
Absolutely, absolutely. You hit it right on the nail, and as we shared even tonight, it supports everything that Benay just shared. The things that he pointed out that Ron Dalton highlighted, and we got the proof. Even with the sources that we're sharing, makes it clear who's connected and who's not. And I believe that, to your point, cuz, is that we here in the Americas, we're kind of like the connector, because guess what? We got Limba, and we got Igbo, and we got other tribes that have been confirmed to be Israelites. The Yemenites, the Morocco. We could go right down the list. So, but family, real quick, and I'll pass it back over to Benay. But notice what this says here, though. It says this: Jewish Voices Ministries, a Messianic. So this is a Christian Messianic organization. Now, should we be surprised? Because it was Christianity, it was Catholicism that was part of this confederate to do what? Suppress our identity, to put us in this captivity that we're in right now. So Jewish Voice Ministries, a Messianic group from Arizona, announced this week that the Igbo are not genetically Jewish based on their private DNA test. Messianic Judaism, whose adherents, consider Jesus to be the Jewish Messiah, is regarded by Israel and Jewish organizations as a form of Christianity. So Jewish Voice Ministry said they traveled to Nigeria, and remember what the elder said, how they fumbled things around. Even in this article, you can read at the bottom of it, it'll show Elder Remy, right, complaining and questioning how faulty their test was. So it goes on to say Jewish Voice Ministry said they traveled to Nigeria to investigate claims that the Igbo people are descendants of ancient Israelites. Some Igbo believe that the term Igbo is a bastardized version of the word Hebrew, and point to many cultural similarities between Igbo traditions and Judaism. And so what's interesting is this group came up with their own flawed DNA test, went over there and did all kinds of just undermining things to try to throw shade on the Igbos, right? But we do have someone that that was very popular and very powerful in this country, and that is the Secretary of State for Richard Nixon. Well before in the 60s, saying that, and I'll put it up here. Right? This is Harry Kissinger. This is from the 1980 Jewish Almanac that I highlight a lot, making it clear that he is a Jew. So Henry Kissinger, he said this actually in his memorandum: the Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa, gifted and westernized. He didn't say that they are like, in other words, have the characteristics of. So I'll stop right here, but I just want to share this with you, family, and we kind of go through this video here and get your thoughts on it. So, Cuz, what do you think, Cuz?
Yeah, no, I mean it's just a just a bad a movie that just keeps replaying over and over again. Cuz I mean, it's. I don't know, man. Sometimes I know for those of us in the walk, we see this denial from these so-called authorities in I hate to use the word Jewish things, but what always comes to mind for me, because it's like, who made you the authority?
Exactly.
And I guess they made themselves the authority on it, because they're over in the land and whatnot, so they feel as though that they can make such determinations. But yeah, I don't, and that's the thing that I sometimes get frustrated, because is that they kind of put themselves in that position to try to figure out who's who, and it's funny because it doesn't just happen, like it's not just happening over in Africa. Like we even see it, because a lot of the stuff that I was dealing with Iberian Peninsula, with Spain and Portugal. And one of the things we haven't touched on yet is, like, so after the Druids in Spain and Portugal, after they had, after the Israelites had gotten expelled, right, after they kicked them out, Inquisition came in, expulsion edicts went out, we saw this mass movement of hundreds of thousands of people out of that area. And then basically one of the things that we haven't talked about is how things got repopulated after they moved out, right? Same thing happened over in Germany. A lot of persecution, kicked them out. Then it's almost like having like an empty house on the corner, right? And you got a bunch of hobos run walking around, and they walk up to the house like, oh, nobody's living in there. Let me just move on in. You see the same thing happen over and over again. They moved into these areas, and even because I think that reference, because that you was reading about the Ashkenazi Jews like being what it was, like something about like 10%. No, was it
1%?
It said something like the Sephardic Jews were 10%. I had to.
Oh yeah, it was saying that they're 10% Ashkenazi, but
10%. Yes, yeah, 10% Ashkenazi. And the reason for that, family, is that when they started repopulating like Spain and Portugal, there was a group that was put in charge of the readmittance, back into Spain and Portugal. Guess who it was? The Ashkenazi Jews. And guess who they readmitted back in there? Ashkenazi Jews. So all of a sudden, in Spain and Portugal, you saw the Ashkenazi Jew population go up, right? And I forget the name of the council or board they have. That's their official title, but that's what happened, fam. So that's why you see that 10% pop up in some of these reports. And that has to do because they were put in charge of determining who was and who was not a Jew, right? So that's just it, fam. I know you all been on for a while, and I'm kind of like you. I don't know about you, because at work, when we have like a long meeting and then someone pops up at the end.
Oh no, you good.
They have all these questions. You be like, come on, man. You just got in. So anyway, but that's it, cuz like I said, I don't want to belabor the point, but that's.
Oh no, you good, cuz. And what I touched on earlier is the playbook of them wanting to concede that we could give the niggas the Northern Kingdom.
Man.
Right. So I touched on that, how he kept pushing Dan.
Yeah.
And then I played another rabbi who was pushing the Northern Kingdom, saying basically 8 tribes out of the 12 tribes were black.
Mm.
You know, so but you see that playbook over and over again.
They even tried it with the limber. I don't know if you know. There was a thing on the History Channel, and that's the one that kind of gets that you see replayed on either YouTube or some of the other places. But there was a guy, he had like the Indiana Jones hat. I don't know if you remember that, but he went down there and he was like, and he was interviewing like one of the Limber Elders, and he was like, yeah, so you guys claim to be Israelites, and the Limber Elder was like, not to claim, we are.
Exactly.
And
he said we're the original people.
Yeah, we are the original Hebrews. You guys just popped up here yesterday. So so same thing, same thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thankful that they standing hard and strong, and family, this is where we gotta really come together, support one another, because it's hard over there compared to, far as financially, compared to what many of us are dealing with here. I mean, when you start understanding certain cultures and certain climates and certain surroundings, certain areas, many of you guys may take it for granted that, hey, when you drive home or drive from home to Shabbat, your only worry is if you get there on time, right? You got brothers and sisters over there, they can walk heading to Shabbat and they never see them again. And they're financially depressed. It's a struggle. So that's where far as the temptation is, because many of them are financially strapped.
Yep.
You get these different communities popping up with boatloads of money. It's going to be hard for them to turn it down, especially with the conditions and the things that they're living in right now. Many of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. When they're in that position, they're not really in a position to be able to say no to a lot of things. So hey, we'll give you a house, we'll give you some clean water, we'll do all this other stuff for you, if you deny the Messiah, if you will, and all these other crazy things that they make people do to kind of join their version of Judaism, So yeah, because I see where you're going, man. It's like and the point I was trying to make with the limber was, at the end of the day, when the guy showed up, he said, you guys are the 10 lost tribes of Israel, basically the Northern Kingdom, right? When in fact, the fact that the limber themselves tell them that, hey, we left when Nebuchadnezzar came and sacked the Southern Kingdom, that kind of erases like this 10 tribes thing. Like that shouldn't even have been a conversation, but somehow they keep trying to steer them to towards that 10 tribe stuff. And it's funny because the thing that keeps popping in mind for me is like Superman. Like they're trying to keep Superman away from his cape and outfit, right? Because the moment that they come together and Superman realizes that he's Superman, everything's gonna break loose on the earth. Game's over. If you guys ever went to one of those arcades and you kept playing the video game, and then the last man got killed off, and then you get the game over, right? And the thanks for playing sign shows up. Like that's what happens when you get connected to your outfit, to your Superman, to your cape, and when you start realizing that, hey, we the people of the book, we Judah, we're Israel, right? And that's what they're terrified of, fam. So it seems like, and I think we was talking about this too, because it's like at every level in this awakening, it seems like there's always a trap laid somewhere on the board. Like when before you woke up, it was the Roman Christian Church. Then once you woke up, then it was like, is the thing about you don't have to, all right, congratulations, you're awake, but You don't have to do none of that. You don't have to, try to observe any in the feast days or anything like that. You don't have to try to observe the Shabbat or anything like that. Then it just throughout each level, and it seems like we're in like the end times, right? And we're at the advanced level, the end part of the game, and the trap now is, it seems like, you'll get people that look like you. You might get people that don't look like you. You might get people that sound that's talking the Israelite walk and doing the Israelite talk, right? But at the end of the day, they're trying to steer you away from who you are, right? Even if it's just a nudge, just a push to get you off track from getting back connected to your cape and your Superman outfit. So, man, fam, I just want to encourage you, fam, just to stay on targets, just to stay on point. Don't get misled by these, by this next level of distractions. Just stay focused, man. Just stay focused. Sorry, cuz I had to get off my soapbox.
No, you good, cuz you good. Definitely appreciate it. And family, we're gonna play one more video here, and want to get you guys' thoughts on this. And let me see. I see a question here. Can you do a teaching on Asherah? Let's see here. Okay, yeah, we'll teach you on that. We'll touch on that. I think I did one a while back on Judaism, but I'll do it again. It's, do an updated presentation on that. So let's show this video here, and cuz want to get your thoughts on it, and family, pay attention to it. Get your thoughts on it as well. But I want you guys to notice, really listen to the wording here. Here we go.
Here is my synopsis of this. When the 10 tribes have been exiled, some of them defected to the kingdom of Judah, it said so. Jeremiah went and brought some of them from the north kingdom to the south kingdom. The Bible said so. But many people have been scattered among the nations. It is true. If the Bible is true, and if the prophets of Israel is true, and if Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11, chapter 11 is true, God will have to bring all the scattered among our people back to Israel. Yeah, when I look at people here and I see those ancient traditions, I say they are our blood, our brothers, but they become an estranged brother, like this prodigal son.
Yes.
So what do we need to do? We need to go to the prodigal son today. We, the natural branch, the Jewish people, the non-Jewish people, need to go to the prodigal son, and we need to welcome him in. We need to rewrite history. Yeah. Because I think that has been the tragedy of the 12 tribes of Israel. When some brothers were lost, and we thought they are dead, but they're really indeed alive.
Not sure. Are you?
That's what I'm doing in Nigeria.
Pastor Killer?
That's what Operation Africa, Operation Igbo People is about. Going and simply issue to them invitation to return home.
What do you think, cuz? And you know what? I had one more clip. I didn't get the last portion of it. I think I actually overlooked it when he referred to them
as a little
being
brother.
the big brothers. We're the little brothers. I forgot to put that in there.
Oh, that's all right, cuz he said plenty in that one, cuz yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's ironic. If the world's still spinning, 10 years from now, we still around, and we back in the land or whatever, I think we'll all be laughing about this, right? The natural branch, I guess that, I don't know, cuz like I said, I think because me and some other brothers and sisters, we do a lot of history and research and stuff like that. Just comments like that. It's like that scratching on the chalkboard, especially when he's sitting in the middle of the Israelites. He's sitting in the middle. You got to catch this, fam. He's literally sitting in the middle of the blood Israelites, calling himself the natural branch and calling them the prodigal son. He's in a room full of Israelites, fam. That's what I'm saying, cuz it's like you got to catch that. That's what makes it so funny. So I could ramble on about it, but like I said, I'm trying to be mindful of your time. I know you've been on for a while, so.
Oh, no, you good, cuz you good, and definitely appreciate what you shared. And family, that's why I wanted you to listen to exactly what was said, because he's saying that, right? The Igbos are the people, right? The ancient people. But then, and out of the same breath, he's saying that the Igbo people, our Igbo group, need to go through a conversion.
Mm.
And again, there's not a single line of text that says that we have to go through, any lost Israelite, put it that way, has to go through a conversion to come back.
Not just any conversion, because their conversion.
Their conversion, exactly. Isn't it ironic? The same, we got the other nations that the disciples taught, eventually kicked them out.
Mm-hmm.
And telling them what the Messiah actually taught.
Right. Yeah.
And here it is. And because you can elaborate on it too as well before we wrap up, because I was trying to find my presentation that I did on conversion to conversos, right? And I know that they were using Luke 15 to justify their method or their process of conversion. Oh man, I wish I had it here, because and I had a presentation that has the Catholic information in there and everything, the actual source that gives the law of conversion, but they was basing it off of Luke 15, the prodigal son, dealing with the Spanish Inquisition. Did you want to elaborate on that before we wrap up? Because I know you're a guru with the Spanish Inquisition.
You said it was talking about Luke 15 with the Spanish Inquisition?
Right, the prodigal son. Man, let me see here.
Yeah, but and I'm just curious, because did you also have the clip of where he was saying that said we'll bring you guys back, we'll stick you in the desert.
Oh yeah, I'll play it for you again.
Oh, okay. So you already played it. Okay.
Yeah, I'll play it one more time and let you elaborate on that as we get ready to wrap it up. We got 8 minutes.
All right.
Let's see. I'll play it real quick. Here we go.
All right.
Basically, what you're answering is you would not want to go through a conversion process.
It will be very difficult.
It will be very difficult for people to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
We are so numerous. We are so. If Israel cannot even accommodate all of us, you should come down here and help us.
We put you all in the desert. We have an wide open desert. We put you all in the desert. We have an wide open desert. We put you all in the desert. We have an wide open desert. Okay. So you would basically, what you're answering is you would not want to go through a conversion process.
It will be very difficult.
It will be very difficult for people to do that.
Yes. Okay. We are so numerous. We are so. If Israel cannot even accommodate all of us, you should come down here and help us.
We put you all in the desert. We have an wide open desert.
We have a lot of numerical strength here.
You can be in the Negev, all of you.
We agree.
Hallelujah.
We are only telling you we have a very large.
Believe me, the Negev is cooler than this.
Wow. That's like inviting somebody over in your house and sticking them in the basement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a finished basement, unfinished basement, right? The desert. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So and it's like I said, fam. It's like I said, that interview or that interview, I guess you can call it an interview. It was a little tough to look at. But again, I've learned some things when I watch it. I learned that especially our brothers and sisters in the continent. I think even Elder Remy talked about this too. But it just when you're whether they're dealing with the Ashkenazi or somebody else, it's always better to be able to deal with them from a point of strength and not weakness. You know what I'm saying? Instead of because I heard the elder saying like, yeah, you guys should come down here and help us. It's like, so he's already at a disadvantage, right? He's already at a disadvantage and looking to the ish for assistance there. So it doesn't really give him a whole lot of leverage to push back on a whole lot of stuff. I do give him credit for pushing back on the conversion process. Because I think I'm not sure if it was in this video, but it might be in a different one. But they said that they would not deny the Messiah, and hats off to our brothers and sisters for that. They wouldn't deny the Messiah just to get back over into a land that's currently being trodden down by the Gentiles. So I appreciate him for that. So, but. Oh, go ahead, guys.
Oh, no, I'm listening to you guys. I was just sitting here trying to look for something here while you're talking. So,
no. I mean, I think you touched on all the points, well before I jumped on. One of the things that we did talk about was off camera was sometimes when I listen to this interview, I try to listen to for comments of topics that they discussed before they came on air. You know what I mean? Like when somebody says like phrases like you said all the time, or like you said before, right? Then that tells me that they were kind of prepped for a certain topic before they even brought it up. Like the whole discussion about them being from the Tribe of Gad, and I'm not sure if you all are familiar with the Igbo's ancestry, because there's a movie out there or DVD out there called what was it called? Re-emerging. I think it was like Jews in the Igbo Jews. It's called, or Jews in Nigeria is called Re-emerging, and that was one of the first ones that I came across, and that's the one that I think Elder Remy was in as well. But in Re-emerging, they actually talked about the origin of the Igbo, right? Or one of the origin stories of the Igbo. And that's one thing that you'll come across, is that there were waves of migrations, right? There wasn't just one migration and boom, everybody's there. And that's one of the things that you kind of hear these brothers talk about, especially the one on the right. He was talking about how he's like, the very first person that came here was Ephraim, right? And that's why was Gad, and that's why we're called Gad, because the very first person came here was Gad. But there were other migrations that happened after that, right? And the thing about the Spanish and Portuguese brews, and the thing that's so difficult to track, is that what I tell people is that imagine the west coast of Africa, right? And you just have these waves of Israelite migrations over to the west coast of Africa. But then the very last migration that came over to that area was a scattering. Like it wasn't like one group of people that moved over into one area. It was almost like, if you have a cup of sprinkles, right? Like you got a cake, like a whole bunch of cakes, and you have some sprinkles, and you just throw it into the air and you sprinkle over all the cakes. Like that's what happened with the brews of Spain and Portugal. Like especially over on the west coast of Africa, especially when they were fleeing the persecution over in Spain and Portugal. And the problem that creates is that you end up having scattered Spanish and Portuguese brews within the Igbo. You have Spanish and Portuguese brews with the Yoruba. You have them over with the Ashanti. You have them over, just all over these different areas, right? And it causes a problem with DNA, right? Because when you look at DNA, when we first did our ancestry.com, ancestrodna.com or 23andMe, and what they do is that they look at all these modern day groups, and you got it back, and you got this map, and you just got this map of Africa, and you said, oh, you're 40% Nigeria, and you're 20% Yoruba and you're 30% Congo, and you have to ask yourself, like, why? So why is that, right? Well, how come it just doesn't come back, 110% to Nigeria? It's because you were scattered, fam. It's because you were scattered. And the formula that we tried to come up with to identify a scattered person, it actually turned out to be pretty easy, because a scattered, the difference between somebody that was taken from what I would call a contiguous group, basically a group that's like let's say for instance like the Ashanti, right, that's been there, and you took somebody that had lived with the Ashanti for years, like their ancestors would go back 5, 10, 20 years, right? And you took a person from there, put them on the bus, put them on the boat, went across the waters, took their DNA will come back like 100% Ashanti, right? Or should. But a scattered people, if you take a DNA of a scattered people, a couple of things will happen. One is that when you run their DNA will come back. They'll have hits all over the place. That's what the so-called African Americans have, right? That's a problem that you have. You got 10%, Igbo. You got 40% Nigeria, right? That's one of the characteristics that you would have of a scattered people. The second most important thing, a characteristic of a scattered people that will show up in DNA, is genetic distance. And what I mean by that is, so genetic distance is it's basically a genetic measurement that tells you how close you are to a person, like how closely related you are to a person. The smaller the value, the closer you're related. Like a father and son, genetic distance value is very small. But a father and a second or third cousin, their genetic distance will be a lot larger, right? So with that in mind, the larger the genetic distance value, the more distance it is. And actually, there's another dimension of that, and that is time as well. Because if you go back further in time as well, then the genetic distance value also goes up too. I actually have a chart that I was waiting to bring out to kind of illustrate that. But the main thing, fam, is that the larger the genetic distance value, the more that you're not related, right? And so when you're looking at the DNA profile of a scattered people, the second most important thing to identify a scattered people is that genetic distance value. And what happens is that when you take a DNA test of a person that was scattered, one thing that will happen is that the genetic distance value with the people that's close by with where you say they're from, it'll turn out that they are not closely related to those people. It'll turn out that when you look at the genetic distance value of this person that you say is from Nigeria, for example, what a surprising thing will happen is you'll end up having a genetic distance or a close relationship to somebody way on the other side of Africa or way on the other side of the world. And that's what happened to us. Like when we so-called African Americans ran our genetic distance tests, through whether it's through GEDmatch or My True Ancestry, we would expect, if we were native to West Africa, we would expect to have somebody over in the west coast of Africa that we would be have a close genetic distance value to, that we would be super, super close to. But that's not the case. What's happening is that when we run our tests, we end up having a match to somebody way on the other side of Africa, South Africa, and that's the Limba, right? That's a DNA profile of a scattered people, fam. And that's why I say that, there's a lot of our how can I put it? I mean, a lot of who we are is literally in our blood, and it's running through our veins, fam. That we are the people of the book, and most I willing, I do plan on going into a little bit of this in some videos to come to help better explain it, and probably also show you some illustrations to better kind of put the thought in your mind or explain it of how genetic distance value truly explains that we are who we are, that we say we are, right? When we say that we're from the Southern Kingdom or whatever tribe of Israel, your DNA profile will prove it out. So
absolutely. Well, definitely appreciate the input, cuz, and really appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. Yeah, because getting kind of late here, and
kinda,
I really can't understand how people can do this for 7 and 8 hours, and I just don't understand it, man. I start getting, really, I have a 2-hour clock,
right?
And so I'm way past by overtime, right? So, but this is definitely a great discussion, and I'm going to try to find some of the information I want to share in terms of the Catholic Church, what they would do to convert, use the prodigal son to convert people over, use that as their way of, kind of that process, manipulating the prodigal son as a means to justify this conversion process. So we'll definitely, I'll try to locate that presentation, and family, be encouraged, with everything that's going on. I know you guys, again, it's hard to watch certain videos like we just shared, but know that when we show these type of videos, there's a lot that we can learn from and prepare ourselves for in the near future, because it's going to continue and it's going to get worse. So, any final words you want to share with the people before we wrap up?
No, just stay. I mean, just echo the same sentiments, cuz stay blessed, fam. Like I said, more lessons to come. I pray that it helps bless the awakening, and just helps all of us explain to the world who we are, and just strengthens your faith.
So you hear that? You heard that straight from Benaiah, the master of the research. But definitely appreciate you, cuz, and family, again, just be encouraged. Don't allow stuff like this to get up under your skin. Don't reduce yourself to the negativity that's around us. So with that being said, family, listen with intelligence. That's the discernment, the gift of discernment we really need in this day and time. So we're going to throw in the garbage. We're going to give the garbage can to the Talmudic doctrines, and and the doctrine of what's his name, Rabbi Shapira. I just got to give him a garbage can, at least his doctrine. You know what I mean? I'm just going to give the whole thing the garbage can, that whole playbook, the garbage can. I'm going to give him a 3-piece. You got to give him his order to go. So that goes for him and anyone that's teaching the notion that we have to convert to something that's already ours, that we have to convert to their traditions that they've created. That's not ancient traditions. And even if it was ancient traditions, it's not our tradition. It's not our culture, rather. I don't even like to use tradition, but our culture. So with that being said, family, enjoy the remaining of your Shabbat. And I'll be posting some additional Hebrew lessons on the Patreon account. I know it's been about a month since I posted on there, but I'll be posting lessons 7 and 8 by Monday. So with that being said, appreciate you guys. In the words of Moses to Israel, Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 to 14, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, guess what, family? You don't ever have to deal with them ever again. Why? Because the Most High will fight for you, but you have to hold your peace. Can't go back, can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13. Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the... Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis